and welcome back to the Pullze Check podcast. God damn, we got news today. But before we get into it, let me introduce my guest today. Today is Ebatez and Gojj. How are we doing today, brothers? As you know, JGOD ain't no guest. JGOD, you know, what do you call it, JGOD? I don't even know what you call it. Yeah, you whatever. I don't know.
Co-host, I guess co-host.
Co-host, I guess. Is that what it is? I don't fucking know.
Oh, that's insane.
I don't even know. I just consider him like me. You know what I'm saying? Like co-host seems bad. Like he's not. He's not co. He's like he's my duo type shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Ebatez, what's going on, man?
What's good? How we all doing? Good to see y'all.
Vibing, man. Mr. Gojj, talk to me, baby. How are you, brother?
Brother, I am just living the dream. I'm glad to be here. Glad to talk about Warzone. I'm just sitting here biding my time, waiting for another 2 days, man. Like all the stuff today got me so jigged.
Yeah.
Guys, okay, so for those of y'all who are here now, or you guys are barely tuned in, don't know what's going on, so this is what just happened today. A lot of us were in a call this morning with Call of Duty and Raven. Some of us didn't know that they were invited, so they didn't show up, but it's not their fault because they checked their email, but it's fine, you know what I'm saying? And so they revealed like quite literally an insane amount of things this morning. And then on top of that, we have an absurd amount of roster manias happening for the World Series of Warzone teams, etc. Trios going into the next year. And we got a lot to discuss today, man. So we're going to start it off quick. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. Boys, probably the biggest controversy out of everything. We talked about it in the last podcast. We're going to get into a 100-player count. Talk to me. I know 2 people in here think it's not bad, and JGOD, talk to me.
It's gonna be as big an issue. I mean, it kind of sucks that they couldn't lie to us and say it was server related, because I think that puts a lot of people's head. Well, just raise the number, because they specifically asked, "Hey, is it because of the servers?" And they said, "No, this is a creative decision that we've decided to go with this." Based off data of how long it takes to get an engagement, or the average number of engagements and stuff like that. And when you do the math, I mean, it ends up kind of crazy when you do all the different ways you're going to be able to come back. Probably the average number of lives or deaths per match is going to be like 3. The number of buybacks, the redeploy, the flares, the next chance gulag, or whatever the hell it's called. I mean, you have so many ways to come back. On top of that, the zone's going to close faster. And it goes back to like the blackout pacing, because it was a 100-player battle royale without any of that, and the zones were 20 minutes or 21-ish in blackout. So I think it aligns pretty good with that, and that allows you, if you're getting wins, as 3 wins per hour instead of 2. I mean, there's a lot of cool things, and I think the casual, they don't care about the player count that much.
True.
Oh, it's slow. Their whole match is slow. They're avoiding players. And people will still be able to drop 40 plus. I almost guarantee first day, you're going to have the sweat people out there doing wagers, and they're going to have, we dropped 70 world record, whatever, like duo. And it's going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
I don't and if they need more, they're open to it. Like they literally said, cool. But if not, then cool. And I was talking about it on stream. I said, it's kind of like my son. Like we got everything we wanted, and people are still upset. Where I'll go, hey, you know what? We're going to go do this. And then I say, we're doing this right now. It's like, no, kid, like chill. We're still doing that. Like, it's the same thing. They're fine with changing it up, and it's fine. And I know that goes contrary to some streamers, and that's fine. I have a different opinion, and that's okay.
Okay. I like the different opinions on the stream. Ebatez, talk to me. How you feeling? Because I know you also, I saw on Twitter that you think that it's a good number.
A little bit on this. I think, generally speaking, beginning of Warzone drops, like new maps and stuff, we see a slower playstyle. So I feel like map and like player count is usually up. And if it's not about serviceability, then I guess I don't really know what else it could be. But I know last year, with all the AI and all these, extremely laggy packet loss lobbies that were dropping, it was just super frustrating as a player. So I'm like, if we can get 100 people, that seems like such a minimal issue than having lobbies crash. And I'd rather just start slow. And then by season 1, if they want to up it to 120, see how serviceability is and kind of go from there, then we are vibing. But that's my take on it. I think 100 players is going to be fine, especially for season 1, where it's going to be a slower play style. A lot of people are going to be learning the map. So I feel like player count should be up a lot.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Gojj, talk to me. How you feel about it?
I've got a couple thoughts. One, I know everybody's screaming in the chat. We haven't mentioned it yet, and we're going to talk about it. The map is 20% smaller than Al Mazrah, is what was shared, right? And that's a huge boon. Like if you think about it in terms of numbers, that's a big deal. My question is, if it's not servers and the map is smaller, then it has to come down to encounters, right? Is what JGOD was saying. And so as a public lobby player, if the map is 20% smaller, a public lobby player doesn't want to get slammed off drop. They don't necessarily want to drop hot every single time. And if we have 150 player lobbies on a 20% smaller map, they're going to get slammed no matter where they drop, right? If you encounter one team off drop with not your loadouts and you're bad, it is what it is if they're decent. So that's the first thought. The second thought is, if it's a 20-minute game, and I saw the note, it said map circles and zone timings equal a total game time of 20 minutes. I don't know if we're going to talk about this, if that's just the zone is 20 minutes and the game can go a little bit over that based on gas mask and things like that, or that also means the game could go way faster, right? I mean, if you lay out the lobby, you could drop a 16-minute game, which is not even, that's like Vondel. Like, I don't even know what that is. That doesn't even feel like a BR. And if you have 150 players, like JGOD was saying, and everybody's coming back 3-4 times, you can get a Gulag reentry kit 100% of the time if you do X, right? That is one of the things that was added, is if you do X, you get this, which is cool. It's going to feel like a different game, and we cannot judge that it is a bad number until you play it, because this is not Warzone. This is not Al Mazrah. This isn't even Caldera or Verdansk. This is a totally different game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, man, everybody here knows that out of everybody who's like one of the people that is very vocal, I've been very vocal as far as like, yo, I want 120 player count. I want 150, right? Obviously, I didn't know a lot of the things that we know now, right? It kind of does change things, right? Do I miss the first thing when I hear, 100 player count? I'm like, bro, we play Al Mazrah right now on 100 players. That shit boring. I don't care what anybody says. I cannot play pubs on that. I tried it. Yeah. There's no engagements first circle. We tried it after for like a week trying to get nukes when it was 100 player count. After we decided rank got boring, too many, and we get in there. I was like, bro, there's no engagements. This, like, how do we expect to play this, right? So with everything that they kind of released, right? I don't want to say I'm taking back my initial thoughts, but I am curious to play it on Wednesday and see for myself, because one of the biggest things that they're saying is time to action remains one of their most critical metrics, and as does the ability for players to create personal records. So, bro, like, okay, they've already said this before. Like Teddy said it in Caldera back then. He said, like, there should never be a point where the game we drop player counts or anything like that to where you can't drop PRs anymore. So it feels, I remember he said that in the podcast that we had with him that one time. And then now he's saying it again, right? So it's like, okay, if there are, 100 players, I'm sure they did testing on it and they've seen, time to action numbers look good with 100 players. I'm hoping for this. I'm hoping for this to be a bigger version of Resurgence, like as far as engagement goes. Yep. That's what I'm hoping it is. And it's not, Al Mazrah, where everything takes forever, right? Gojj, go ahead. You were going to say something?
Well, I think two things to add to that too. One, I think it needs to feel, if you're asking for it to feel somewhat like Resurgence, because there's so many ways to get Gulag reentry kicks, there also has to be an option where you play the game where it doesn't feel like that. And so putting 150 players or 120 players on this lobby with that being an option, it's going to feel like that almost no matter what you do. So at 100, you will have an option to play slower, right? And I think that's the keynote. And then the second thing I saw is you can even stow those Gulag reentry kits in your backpack for teammates. So we're talking a lot of ways to get back, especially if you got a competent team. And final note there, the other note on having all, which we're going to get into this is a big one, having solos, duos, trios, and quads always on for the whole first season. You got to think, if we did 150 player lobbies, that's less lobbies. That's a third less lobbies that would be running. Therefore, queue times might be longer if we have all four of those options up. So it feels like there's a lot of math going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to, and this seemingly is the best option.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit here and complain and stuff like that. I was sad when I woke up today and I was like, damn, 100 players. But I read everything and I'm like, okay, like for example, some resurgence maps are 75 players, but they come back so much that it feels fast. It feels good, right? So this is 100 players. If there's enough ways to regain, if there's a good amount of money, there's gulag tokens, there's the try again gulag, there's like all these different ways. Buybacks, I'm pretty sure, are going to be cheaper. I don't know if they've said anything about that, or like if they're like just.
But even the buy stations are going to be more accessible with that little buy event.
So
you can go into this gas 30 meters to get somebody back where it's not going to close. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, that's what it was on the notes.
There's a big potential for buybacks is what it seems, for people to come back. So fingers crossed that it's not too,
Also, getting around the map, I think will be better. They had a note about vehicles, but even when we were there, it looked like maybe there was potentially more they were going to do with vehicles. Also, the redeploy drones, they're going to shoot you further, faster. And so you're going to be able to you're going to be able to fly around the map. Some of the other things that I don't know if, I don't know if you played it, but I didn't play the 200 Battle Royale when it dropped, but I did play the 100 Resurgence. And what ended up happening is inevitably, even if you started with 100, after the 2 zones, it still felt exactly the same because everyone just dies off a rip. So it might be going kind of what Gojj said, where, you just add, so maybe there's extra engagements and people have to re-queue off the rip, but it doesn't actually change the most important part that it seems like they're trying to solve, which is the middle game. So there's that. And then also the other added benefit is it's almost better to start with the lower number, because let's say right now you get a PB. Yeah. Right. Let's say it's 37 kills or something stupid. And then what happens is they raise the player count. Now you can break that. And then it's more content for you as a creator if they decide to do that. But versus the opposite, where we went from 150, literally they lower the number and no one could break their PBs. Yeah. It was like and I think there's people who have like resentment towards that number, probably for those types of things as well, saying it feels like trash because Al Mazrah is 20% bigger. The zones 20% longer, like the maps. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of variables there, but I think we do have to play it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We're going to have to wait and see. I will say this, boys, Chad as well, right? It kind of seems like this year they're kind of headed in a direction where like they're kind of trying to make a Resurgence, but just bigger. Like, I feel like Resurgence has been such a big like selling point for them. It has done really good as far as metrics goes. And let's be honest, it's super casual friendly. There's so many people that love Resurgence over Big Map, to where they might be like, you know what? Like, this is what people like. Like, let's try to bring the best aspects of Resurgence and make it feel like that. I don't know how I feel about it personally, right? Because then there comes that fine line between like, okay, does it feel good to win? Because I can go play a Vondo game right now, win, and I truly don't give a fuck. But then I go and I play a BR, and it's like, oh, I care a little bit more, right? Like, because it felt like it took skill to do that, right? So if they can find a fine line between that, I don't know. Do you guys think? I mean, from your guys' preference, I think we can all tell, like, even from YouTube numbers, everything. Resurgence is where there's more people. It's just bottom line. That's what the bigger casual base is.
I think it was for that time period, but prior to like Caldera being as bad as it was, especially for those first 6 months, it was not like that at all. It was pretty even distribution of players, and a lot of people switched over to that content just because it was freer views, easier lobbies, faster gameplays. There's a lot of variables to it. The TikTok side of it popped off a little bit more for the short attention spans, the YY people. I mean, there's a lot of variables that tied into that. And I think if it's just a good game, it's going to do well numbers wise across the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're trying to find the balance between like valuing your life, but also not having like a casual player where if they die off rip, they're just sitting there the whole game. You know, it's always horrible, especially with random fills and stuff. Your teammates are never going to buy you back. And it's even crazy to look back at like old Fortnite, where if you died off rip, like you were out the entire game.
Blackout,
so same. Yeah, they're just trying. I'm sure they're trying to find the balance. Again, it is important to like. It is a BR at the end of the day. So valuing your life and dying shouldn't be like a, just like go die and whatever you come back. That's what multiplayer's for. But I'm sure they're trying to find the balance between like what is enjoyable versus like what is actually like a BR standard.
Yeah, and I'd also say this is still different than Resurgence, right? Like Resurgence, you come back without having to do anything as long as your teammates stay alive for a certain amount of time. You're still having to win your gulag to get back onto the map, even if you have a couple chances at that. it almost seems like to me they're just creating a unique product. Like you compare what they're creating with this versus any other battle royale. This is unique. This is different. And Warzone's always been different because of the gulag and because of other reasons, loadouts and all that good stuff. Warzone needs to continue to be unique to thrive. And whether this is a stepping stone towards something more resurgence for, you know, longevity standpoint, or if this is really the end goal and this can continue to be improved upon and will be around for 5, 6, 7 more years and be a staple in the gaming world, and you know, have some sort of a competitive scene around it and all of those good things that all of us want. This is probably necessary, and I think is going to be enjoyable, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about one other thing before we continue. Right, we'll digress a little bit, but we'll come back to the changes. But what do y'all think this is going to mean for competitive, bro?
I was about to mention that.
There's 100 players, which will be 99, 33 trios. It's going to be incredibly hard to make it to LAN now. And then on top of that, the introduction to match point now is way more viable than like it was with whatever, however many teams, right? 60 teams, whatever the number was, 50 teams, I believe. So, I mean, what do y'all think about this? Y'all think, you know, should ranked have more players for the sake of having more people go to LAN? Or is it like, yo, this might even be like better in a way, because then it's less expensive to host these tournaments instead of having to have 50 setups. Now it's only 33. Now the venues get smaller. You can do more things. I don't know. Like, I can see the pros and the cons, man. But what do y'all think?
It's hard, man, because especially with a lot of tournaments being invites as well, we just went down from 50 or 45, whatever they like to do, now down to 33 max. And I do feel for a lot of the people that are like competing and stuff that maybe deserve to be playing, because now it just got a lot harder. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of really good players sitting out of tournaments, unfortunately, just because of the invite numbers. But yeah, competitive wise, I mean, I think 100's a good number, but like I said, that's the only thing that I question is invites, and also World Series of Warzone, now there's only 33 spots instead of 50. So
yeah, and we could probably take it a step deeper based on what we're seeing now. I don't know anything, let's be very clear, but I think we've got time for World Series of Warzone. So the game's going to change, and all of these notes that we have right now is probably not what we're going to be playing in World Series of Warzone. Right. I think we'll likely have that 100-player lobby still then, is my guess. But I mean, we can run through these notes. I mean, one-shot snipers being back. Everybody was like, oh, well, they'll just do one sniper per team. And it's like, no, they won't. That's not a thing. For World Series of Warzone, it's going to be based on the ranked rules. And it's going to be based on whatever that is. And you can't run one sniper per team in ranked.
Can't enforce that.
Yeah, there's no way to do it. They won't do that. They're going to do whatever the ranked rules are. Now, will they change the game? Will they have circles move slower? Like, I have no idea. A 16-minute game or 16 to 20-minute game of the best players in the world all in one lobby is chaos. Now, I know Apex does it, but not with these rules. Like, will it limit gulag reentry tokens and things like that? Probably, but I don't know. There's so much we can talk about from the competitive stance that it's almost overwhelming, because we have zero clue what it's going to look like, and we're going to have to wait for the first customs. And I sounded like we're not going to know anything about private matches until later.
I'm assuming season 2 is probably when we get private matches. Yeah. But also, to add on to kind of what you're saying too, we could have different player counts for ranked too. There could be a 120 lobby or 130 or whatever for ranked specifically, and maybe the pubs is just 100. So you never know about that too. Yeah. Longer queue times in ranked wouldn't really hurt anything. I think people would actually be happy about that rather than
healthy lobbies. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, well, it's something to think about, right? We digress a little bit, but let's kind of.
Let me throw in that. I think it could be really good, just because it would be more like cutthroat in terms of the teams that are available to go. Right now, we had a problem where it's very apparent that some of the top teams farm the bottom teams, so there'd be less bottom teams to farm, and that's not good either. So I think competitively, if you're a competitive player, you should want less players in your scene. You want it to be as competitive as possible. If you're legitimately a competitive player in its purest form, you want to go against the best. And shaving off the bottom 50 makes that lobby the best, in my opinion.
And you probably see more stages or sections within those stages, which means more events.
They probably invite 200 people, and then those top 50 of each go, or whatever. Yeah, something like that.
Online shows are obviously like single-digit percentage points in comparison from a cost standpoint to LAN events. So doing online shows are going to be a lot easier to weed these people down until you get to a good number. So
I mean, I didn't even think about it like that, JGOD. That's actually a really good point. So I mean, I'm excited for competitive just in general. We don't know what the number is going to look like, but we'll see. There's a lot of other changes coming to the game. So let's continue with this and keep competitive in mind while we talk about it. So unsuppressed red dots support more engagements. Obviously, don't understand why it was taken out to begin with, but glad it's back. Now, if you see people shooting, you can actually tell, yo, this fan's over here. So again, we talked about, I think, last podcast. I had to rewire my brain to have map awareness again, to be looking up at my mini map.
So weird.
So
weird.
Don't know why that was gone, but now it's back. Big bounties, boys. So they you can tell, bro, they really focused on trying to make you get into engagements, right? This so many times we talk about, yo, the servers suck. I'm lagging. Why do I get 500 frames on multiplayer, but 100 on Warzone, right? Maybe they might have just cooked and found the best way to give an insane amount of engagements, but with good frames while we're doing it. So what do you think about big game bounties, boys, and a new bounty reward, which I think is really cool from what I can tell? It's, I guess, a regular bounty. If you kill that bounty, you get 1 UAV ping, I'm assuming across the whole map, or maybe it's just in the area. It'd be cool if it's the whole map, so you can real quick do a bounty and see,
Wow. That's really cool. So if it's just 1 UAV, whatever, but that's going to help a lot with third-party engagements. So if you kill a bounty, you get 1 UAV, you're like, yo, another team on us, whether you get the team wipe or whatever, or you get to see where his teammates are. So that's actually really cool. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. JGOD, do you think it's just going to be a small UAV ping, or is this going to be
I think it'll be a standard UAV ping off of whoever gets the final kill. Because of the way the UAV pulsing works, I think it's centralized to the player. So I think it'll be based off of that. And then I think that could be a good opportunity if you wanted to kill the best player in the lobby. Hopefully it does rotate to whoever does in fact have the most kills, and then you can go ahead and kill that person before they have a chance to kill the rest of the lobby. And that could help out with the lobby staying alive longer, I guess, in mid game.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool.
Because that's sometimes the worst. I know in solos, I've been watching, well, not right now because they're not really playing it, but I'll watch Metaphor for solos, and then he runs into 2 other streamers that are also sweats, and then they end up running in together. But by that time, the lobby's already dead because there was too many elite sweats in the lobby.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume the way they're going to do it is it's the highest number of kills within a vicinity. Because imagine if somebody drops the other side of the map and you have the most kills, but it's bruh, I have 2 minutes to complete this contract. It's going to take me 1:30 to get over there. I assume that's the way it's going to be. I don't know.
It's got to be within a radius.
Yeah. So then again, they said more second chance mechanics, gulag, public event, go again. We talked about that. And then, so this is where, I don't want to say I'm confused, but they said the stability and performance of the game remains a priority. I know they said they didn't decrease player count because of servers, but they did say the stability and performance of the game remains a priority in this bulletin that I'm reading. So I guess not that big of a priority. It's just a priority, I guess.
I think that's more of a blanket statement. I know that in a majority of people's matches, they're dealing with packet bursts. They're dealing with a lot of those random latency issues or desync. Yeah. And I think that's just a blanket one saying, hey, we want to continue to make that experience better. I know that when Warzone first dropped, or Warzone 2, they were laggy. You could tell in the beginning pregame that they would be that frame stuttery, skippiness.
Yeah.
So maybe they care. And if they don't vocalize it, people would be like, well, they don't care about connectivity, I guess. But
yeah.
I guess you say it so it's not unspoken.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about lag and server lag and things that you run into, not only in private matches but in public matches, is that it actually comes down to less about player counts, albeit that definitely affects it, and it's raw inputs happening on a map, meaning how many players are double tapping Y and swapping weapons and slide canceling. And so that's actually, from what I understood from very general conversations with people, it was that was actually some of the issues we had during some of the early comp stages of private matches, right? It was, we had so many people staying alive till later in the game, and they were all sweats. So they were all YYing, and they were all slide canceling, and they were all doing a ton of inputs. That was what was causing a ton of lag. So it's interesting to hear that they're keeping this as a forefront of their conversations of how they build the game, when you really are keeping a lot of people around throughout the length of the map. So 100 players almost seems necessary given that info. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those things. We're gonna have to just wait and see. Play Wednesday, go from fucking there. You know, Shifty over here talking shit about rosters already. I love it. I love it.
He loves it.
Shifty, don't
loves
worry,
it, bro.
Shifty. We'll get
He
into the
loves it.
rosters in like a little bit. We got to go over a lot, right?
He loves it.
All right. So again, the biggest thing that they said here is time to action remains one of their most critical metrics for them to decide player count, and then the ability for players to actually create PRs and get personal records. So again, we're gonna have to wait and see. That you can tell that they're very receptive this year. So I'm gonna go on to they're adding guys. Every one of our combat records is gonna get reset. So they'll be rolling out in
I don't
phases.
know if that's 100% clear. I think technically, maybe they can mention in chat if they happen to be in there. But I don't know if it'll do like another tab, like it'll just be there, or if it'll just completely reset. Because technically, for Warzone, like it's still gonna be playing on Bondle. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It says stats will be reset for this new chapter.
Oh, so it does 100% reset. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it says there. So, the stats in the combat record will be rolling out in phases. So, season 1, all your battle royale stats. Season 2, Resurgence. That could be a teaser of when we're gonna get the new map for Resurgence, whether it be Fortunes in season 2, because season 2 will be when.
March, February.
And that makes sense. Then it more than likely season 2, either mid-season or is when we're gonna get Resurgence. Fortune's Keep, not what's it called? Not Ashika. They're just so everybody's aware here. They're gonna wait for Ashika. I mean, sorry, not Ashika. What am I saying? Rebirth Island. They're gonna wait for Rebirth Island till like summer or fall.
Summer, yeah.
Summer or fall. Just so y'all don't have your expectations too high. It does make sense. They're trying to spread it out, right? So that's, and then season 3 is Plunder, when those combat records for that. We'll move on to the next one.
Well, that last line on the bottom is also important.
Earned in season 1, 2 for sure. I've been assured that all stats earned during season 1 and 2 for Resurgence and Plunder are saved and stored. So even though, you know, season 2 will be when Resurgence stats come out, your season 1 stats will be tracking. So if you guys care about your KD or your stats, which I feel like you shouldn't, it will track season 1, but you won't see them till season 2. So if that makes sense.
Unlike last year, remember where they had, psych, nothing counted.
Yeah.
Remember like season 2? Rip.
Yeah, and everyone was grinding wins. I think OP Mark was punching the air.
Yeah.
That was tough. I feel bad.
A lot of people were punching the air, bro.
Well, I think that the note about resetting stats is also a note like, hey, we recognize that this is a brand new game, basically. Yeah. Right? You know what I mean? Too. Like, it is a turning point in Warzone, regardless of whether it's called Warzone 3.0. Like, I made a tweet about casting stuff, and it was like, I think I called it 2.5. Like, it's a different game. It just is. And we're seeing that in these notes, and we're seeing that with the stats being reset.
Yeah, which is good. I'm glad, bro. We get as far away from Warzone 2 as possible. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which this is where all the juicy stuff, and buckle it in, lock it in. There's a lot to talk about. I wish I could show you, but there's quite literally like 50 bulletins here that we got to go over. Boys, do you guys have this by any chance? Gojj and Ebatez?
No,
brother, I ain't got nothing. I got a sick tweet by let me see who this is. Wait, let me back it up. Primrose, I think.
Primrose,
it was.
Prim. She did a whole.
That thing is long. But I don't have the notes, and I don't think you can share it to me. So okay, I'm good though. I'm good.
Okay, so I'll go through it. Go one by one. JGOD, help me keep count because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Legendary Supply Box Guitar Riff Celebration is back. What's that?
It's just the sound effect when you do the supply box of the golden boxes, I believe. Yeah, versus the lame one that we had in Warzone 2.
Yeah. They say guitar riff celebration. I'm like, bro,
I remember.
Yeah. Okay, I remember, bro. Then OG loadout crate model has returned, which is all it is they changed the way it looks, right?
The aesthetic, yeah.
Then allied loadout crates now have an in-world highlight. Hasn't that always been a thing?
I think it's going to outline, like maybe, I don't know 100%, but I feel like it's going to outline when you're close to it. So it's more noticeable. Because you know when they drop in clusters and sometimes you walk to the wrong one?
Bro.
This one will be like, yep, that's ours.
Okay, so here's my question for this stuff, because I was playing SND and I was losing full, bro. Whenever you aim down sight, this is a quality of life. I hope it's in the game. I hope whenever you aim down sight, you should not have those things, like they should disappear.
They should. I think I think they used to go more like more transparent.
Yes.
But right now they are solid and they're right at head level, so that on Dom, on the hard point, pretty much a lot of the objectives, including S&D, you see that. So yeah, I think that does need to be worked on.
Yeah.
If it's
Because right now I be playing SND and I'm aiming outside. I'm like, bro, who is shooting at me? And it's like he's over a bomb and like I can't see him.
You cannot see. Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, right? So hopefully that's now a thing. Gas mask is now the first item in the loadout UI, which we just talked about on the last podcast. So W. Now, okay, boys, talk to me about what you think about this one. Loadout UI is now a carousel.
I don't really understand exactly what that means.
Ooh, so when you're selecting a gun, it's like a wheel?
No, I think it's like fucking Hulu again, Netflix. I think that's what carousel is.
I don't know, because that sounds like a negative.
Yeah, so I think it's like this, boys.
Because the list form that we had was pretty good, and the
no.
original Warzone list we had was very good. But this one, I like the multiplayer one. Have you ever tabbed over for the attachments? I don't know. That's awful.
So carousel a circle thing?
This is a carousel right here. Like this is the Twitch. If you're on Twitch homepage, front page. This is the carousel.
Hell
I think we need clarification. I think we need clarification on
There's
that
no
one.
way.
Let me calm
There's
down.
no
Let me calm
way.
down. I don't want to cook anybody.
That is
your
the
favorite loadout, and then I don't know. That's awful to me. If that's what it is,
You wouldn't be able to see all of them, right?
correct.
Yeah, so you would just go like
There's no way.
you would just go to the right and like
You be
keep
stuck
going.
in your loadout for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you would just have to like memorize. Okay, this one's at like the fourth one, and then it would show an image. I would assume of what
That's
your
too
loadout
much.
is.
Yeah, we're doing too much.
That's what it says, carousel. So that's the first thing I think of, right?
We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see.
yeah.
I don't want to be mean.
Gulag entry kits can now be stowed in the backpack for a teammate. Huge W. If they ever bring what's it called, specialist back, I hope it drops and like I don't know if you can necessarily pick it up, but like.
Also, it's also kind of went under when they did the UI change for when you go into your bag with the ammo. It actually shows more clearly that you do have those tokens as well on your person. So when you spawn in, you already have a Gulag token by default.
Oh, boys, I get it now. Teddy just responded in the chat. Okay, so he said, not the loadout crate UI, the loadout UI on the backpack screen. So right now, it says the existing row of items. It says on the back screen, the existing row of items in your loadout, you can just press left and go immediately to the right side.
Oh, it's just connected. Oh, that's way better. That's incredible.
Yes.
Okay,
So
all
if
right.
you got a gas mask on the far left-hand side because it's the first item, and you've got whatever, a frag on the far right-hand side, you can just go left and it's one over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's
They
amazing.
called them
Okay,
loadouts,
good.
So we were thinking actual loadouts.
Talking about the bag. Okay. That makes
Got
sense.
you. Oh, okay. That's a
Good thing
huge
you're
change.
here.
That's a
Good thing
W.
you're here.
Yes,
Ted
thank
Emmons.
God. Because
Ted Emmons.
it says
Ted Emmons just
loadout
saved his year.
UI, and I'm like, hold on. Yeah. Ted Emmons. All right.
Ted Emmons.
Okay, so increased Gulag entry kit drop rate in loot. So I'm assuming there's a
gonna be
lot of
common.
potential to
Yep.
all right.
I think the average of 3 deaths per game at least is got to be the number, if not higher.
Yeah.
I mean, that's wild, and not including buybacks. Like,
And if you lose your Gulag and then you get a go again, then you got another one immediately, bro. Like, it's crazy.
well, if you could lose your Gulag, get bought back, somebody could drop you a Gulag reentry token, you die again, you go back to the Gulag. Like it's about to get wild,
Yeah.
especially comp.
I hope this is like incredibly fun. Like it should feel very arcadey and not anything like last year, right? So yeah. So it says backpack to loadout auto equip of items. What do y'all think this means? Backpack to loadout auto equip of items.
I wonder if it's like if you have a gas mask on and you have another one in your backpack, it like if it runs out, then it automatically puts the next one on. I'm assuming.
Well, Yeah, but it doesn't right now. If you have a gas mask in your backpack, they
Oh,
both
that
get
could be
diminished.
for like a sentry
like
gun,
different
for
percentages.
or
It could be different
UAV.
percentages.
Let's say you have 5 UAVs. You use a UAV, it automatically goes.
Yeah,
there it goes.
yeah.
That's
Or-
like the perfect example. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's a good example.
can we get a yes or
Extra
no?
smokes.
Damn it, Teddy went
I
back to
think
his shell.
that's
so
how
I
that's
gotta-
supposed to work. That one's
Yeah.
I think that's how it would work.
Oh, so if you throw a stun and you have
Yeah.
another stun in your backpack, it goes automatically to the
It
equipment.
autofills.
Okay.
Which is
okay.
how it used to
Yeah.
be. Which is how it used to be, by the
Yeah.
way. And then
Yeah.
they decided. Somebody decided to
good
take that
Too
off.
fast. They said too fast. This is too quick.
Yeah,
we need to slow
yeah.
down here.
Oh yeah. The same thing in zombies, like D just said in the chat.
Same thing in zombies where your self
If you
is
have self
replaced.
revives, it automatically gives you self revive back. Yeah.
W.
That is a huge W. Okay, I like that.
That's better than it sounds on.
That's
the
actually
list.
huge.
Also,
That's
in
huge.
theory, this list is all supposed to be a W, right? Like that's the.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You got to figure it out
100%
along.
a W. Yeah.
I love that. So it says enemy pings showing kill cams, which they never did. W.
Yep.
Okay, so one-shot snipers have returned. Now, to what extent?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be only the big boy snipers, is what I
Yeah,
call
like
them.
4 of them, maybe 3 or 4 of them.
We went through a phase of this in Verdansk, right? I think it was the HGR and AX50. I think were the only
Yeah.
two.
Which was
That
such
was
a
at the
W, which
beginning,
was
and then we
such a
got a few
W.
more with the car, the Swiss, the SPR.
But
I mean, there was
back
a
when
lot.
back when you had the big boy snipers,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking HGR. You only can see a fourth of the screen. You know,
Barnologist was the only one running it. Like,
Okay. Wait. Here's the deal, though. I know maybe it's not a big indicator of how it's actually going to play out, but at Next, brother, after the first game, everybody was running the sniper, the cat, and from what I played, it was just sniper, headshot, sniper.
Well, we couldn't
sniper.
build our loadout. Plus, like, if you really
Yeah.
feel like you're getting sniped all the time, just run that perk that throws the smoke for you. You'll be all right.
yeah, right.
Oh man! So
That's literally what it's for.
then
Thermal.
that new sniper,
Yeah, right.
hey, that new sniper looks
It's gonna be
insane
good.
too.
It's gonna be good.
So now no weapon tuning in the gunsmith. Huge W, but God, did you something
it
about I
sounded
saw in a
like
video or something
I brought
like
it
that?
up because we had a Q&A section and I had a list of questions and everyone was like quiet, so I just kept asking them. But yeah, I did ask the question and I said, hey, like it sounds like there's a lot of feedback around this optic tuning, could be potentially, even if it's just for close and far. And they said they're just looking into it because they know the community sentiment around it is positive.
Okay.
But they wouldn't bring back tuning. So I don't know if that would be just like an option in the settings, like you can do with your gun where it's like narrow and far or whatever the hell. Maybe you can do the same thing with your settings where you always default it to close or always default it to far. I don't know. It didn't sound like something they were ready to drop in season 1 or 2. And maybe that's something that we'll see in 3 or 4 or something. It would be down the road, if anything.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Not at all, right? Like
I'm sure they only have access to add like all the tunings right now or like none. So I'm sure it's hard to find like, how do we only put the scope tunings in, you know?
I mean, I'm good with no tuning at all, but I get it. I think it would
No
be
tunings
cool.
at all would be great. But
It would
if
be
they could
cool
do like
to
the
add.
close or far, then I'm down for that.
Yeah. So post victory gulag looting. So pretty much what this means is whenever you die in the gulag or you kill somebody in the gulag, you can keep running for a little bit to try to get more money, and then it'll pause you, and then you exfil or whatever, go back into the zone. Actually, I don't want to say exfil, brother. DMZ's give me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, not the D word. Hey.
My bad. I don't want to say the D word in here. My bad.
The D word.
So it says buy stations, which huge W. Buy stations are accessible 30 meters into gas, which huge W. Dude, what was it that oh my God, I think it was like either Diaz or Sage. One of them sold. I don't want to say sold, but like it was like their 5th game of, I don't know if it was stage 1 finals, stage 2 finals, where one of them went into the zone to pick up the other person, and then last second, bro, it closed on him like 20 when it hit 20 meters. I forgot who it was. I'm pretty sure it was Diaz or Sage, and I remember like it was soul crushing when that happened. So it says here 30 meters into gas is when it now disabled, as opposed to, I'm pretty sure it was 20 before. I don't know if Sage is not
I believe
here.
that's what it was, yeah.
Is it? Yeah, 20.
I'm just curious if it'll be like, I don't know the distances, like how far is 30 meters in comparison to 20. Like, is that really that far? Like, how much of a difference is that actually? I love it. I think it's a huge win.
It was 10 meters before Teddy said.
10? Yeah, so it got triple.
Holy
That's a lot more.
shit.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
reason I thought it was
you can actually make plays.
15. Yeah, but I think there's also probably a lot of situations where you would expect the gas mask to not close, but then it did. I think that just eliminates it where you know it's just going to be deep.
Yeah, it's either going to be open or it's too far anyways. Like, that's pretty much the...
Yeah, you
the
couldn't
30
run
meters.
to it even with your gas mask type stuff.
Wow. Okay,
That's
that
a
is
huge win.
huge W. Oh, dude, they're so
man.
good. They're so like Raven is so good, bro. I'm sorry, I'm glazed. I'm sorry.
If it's 3x, competitive is totally changed. Like you can change your rotations. You can rotate with buy stations that are in. There's a lot that changes in competitive with 30 meters out that you can really play around with that buy station depending on how you use it.
Wow.
Also, it sounded like there's you're gonna get to it, but there's a little bit longer delay with the drones too, so you can make a play with the drone to be able to go, and you're gonna get to it too, but they're clearly labeled when they're usable on the map.
Yeah.
The buy stations,
Which is great. You
now we
know.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did so many good changes, man.
W.
Now it says buy stations show on TAC map if they are accessible. Huge W, what JGOD just said. If you can no longer use them, it'll just turn off, so you don't have to peep it and not think that it works. And then new buy station inventory. All right, let's talk about this real fast. What do y'all think should be in the buy station no matter what?
Plates,
Gas
UAV,
mask?
self, gas mask.
UAVs, obviously.
Yeah, kill streaks, precision,
munitions,
a loadout,
Armor box,
loadout,
loadout,
munitions
yeah.
box. Other than that, I think it's
and maybe the better items should be limited. Like a durable could be in there, but there's only one or whatever compared to a normal one is still in there. I don't know. And then obviously certain streaks, so you can't just stack up on
mortar, UAV, precision.
Yeah.
I think UAV should be unlimited though.
Do you guys think that they will have a variation of what's in the buy station for ranked versus pubs?
Yes. I think they definitely learned this year, and I definitely feel. I mean, there's enough time now, for us to provide feedback right now. I'm hoping Teddy can get it to the right people, but like, there definitely should be a definitive change between ranked and pubs, and I mean, they did a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie, at it like in ranked last year, but I think they learned a lot, and this year, like bro, like things like let's say signal cheese, right? Like a lot of people hated that, things. I feel like the first year is always going to have its growing pains. This year should definitely be, for example, like last year, somebody just said in the chat, Hollow Point should never be in the game for competitive ever, in my opinion. Something like Hollow Point where you shoot kneecaps.
Yeah, that should have been
somebody. You
banned.
literally stun
That should
them
have
as
been
you
something
shoot.
that is banned in general, especially with all the stuff with keyboard and mouse. I don't know if you guys saw any of True Game Data's video, which shows how terrible the system is for gunfights. It's just awful. And you tack that on top of it. And obviously that's built in with MW2, which like I've talked about before, it sounds good on paper. It just plays awfully,
Yeah.
which I don't think they can change. So that's like a
Yeah, it'd be awesome to see those like definitive changes, like you said, between ranked and like normal. So if somebody's like watching like your stream and they're like, oh, he's playing ranked or not, they can definitely tell. But I mean, I know their goal is also to make pubs as similar as possible. Yeah, they want to connect the two, but we can definitely have those minor changes that aren't going to change the game completely. Like it's not going to be a totally different game.
I feel like they definitely, in my opinion, they should definitely distinguish the two, separate. The way that both succeed is where you have pubs only meant to have fun, have cheesy shit, and just make it to where like literally the whole goal is fun. And then ranked should be completely different and make it as competitive as possible, right? I know this would be so cool. Definitely, bro, if we had some type of like a testing playlist like Sledgehammer does for multiplayer.
experimental playlist.
There you go. Experimental playlist. That'd be super cool to try out different things. Definitely think Warzone should have an experimental playlist going forward. But yeah, so I'll continue. Then it says slide distance is now impacted by surface incline. Hasn't this always been a thing?
Yes and no. Uphill, it's always sucked. Downhill, it's never been better. I think that's the difference. Is now when you slide downhill, you might actually be able to get some distance.
I thought it was
like, because when you go downstairs, like you move, like you'd be moving down the stairs.
Yeah, I'm about to say, because when you go downstairs, you're faster
But
than a regular
not
slide.
down a hill. Have you ever slid down any of the hills that we've had?
Oh, so maybe.
I see what you're saying.
So maybe they're
Like
gonna.
Apex, you know?
Oh,
I don't know though.
Yo, can
Not
we
to
get a
that extent, but-
confirmation? Hold on.
It's a very slim bullet point. That's not very, but it could
I'm
be
sure it's
either,
nothing
right?
crazy. It's probably nothing crazy.
Well, this makes it sound like though it's based off of the incline, so maybe it's variable. Like maybe it hasn't been variable in the past, and it's variable now. Meaning, the steeper the incline, the faster you and further you go. Right? It's not just it's faster if you go downhill. It's the steeper the incline downhill.
Yeah,
the
because there's a
faster
lot of
and further
hills
you
in
go.
Urzikstan, even like just green hills that you probably slide down. And you'd be moving a little bit faster if you're trying to rotate down.
Wait, okay. If that's the case, if this is more meant to like add more movement and make it like Fortnite and Apex, where when you're going down a hill, that is a huge W.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
won't be that extreme, but we will probably notice a little bit quicker. It'll be
Shit,
quicker.
maybe it might be extreme. You don't.
But no way you're sliding all the way down that hill.
Yeah, no. One slide.
Like this is an ice block.
Okay.
Trying to go sledding.
Well, I hope that's the case, right? Okay, fire sale discount is now up to 50% off. What has been the normal?
I think it depended on the item before.
Okay.
UAVs went from like what 6 to 4, so that's like 25%.
30, yeah.
So now,
33.
and it's in here.
30%.
It's slammed.
Yeah, who's a mathematician? So okay, does this mean that from 50%, it says up to? So it's not always going to be 50.
Some items will be 50%, others will be less.
Gotcha. Okay, that's not bad. That just depends luck of what you get, right? More RNG,
Yeah,
which is okay.
They're in-game events anyway, so
Yeah. Then here it says smoke grenade duration nerfed by 20%. Not a bad with how crazy OP they were in Warzone 2.
Yeah.
Like
3 rotations, like if you had smokes.
I don't mind
they
that.
lasted hella long too.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I really don't. 20%. I don't know what's that in actual numbers wise. I don't know, but not bad. Portable radar distance is doubled to 76 meters, which is huge. Huge. Like
They were almost useless before.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to smokes, and this goes back to they want everything viable. Smokes were, if you didn't have smokes, you lose. Just simple facts, right?
Yep.
Same thing. No one uses portable radars, so they're trying to make sure everything is somewhat usable, and I think that's a
You
fair
find it and
assessment.
just throw it down immediately, just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully that big change. I love that. Armor box and munition box no longer have a delay when deployed. So is that like explain that, like, because I know you got to fucking.
I'm pretty sure this is how it worked in the beginning of Warzone 1, right? Immediately when you
down
throw
and
the
you can
block,
grab it.
and it's immediate.
As soon as it
Yeah.
hits the ground, you can grab your stuff. You don't have to like sit there and wait for the box to like tell you like, oh yeah,
Give
I'm
you
open.
the prompt. Yeah, give you the
Yeah.
prompt. Yeah, it's awful.
I love
It's just
that.
gonna
And that
speed
was-
up those situations.
Yeah, that was at next too. I noticed that and I was like, wow, that was a huge change. It feels so much like smoother. Like you just feel so much better about it.
Okay, I actually love that. I love that. Now we're halfway done, chat. Believe it or not, we've gone through 20 so far. Let's go through the other 20. That's how many there are, which I love. I can sit here
Also-
in the app all day.
Teddy
response,
mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, what did he say? Hold on. Teddy said the 50% figure was just to make the maths easier. Everyone knows a buyback is 3,000, so basic math is 1,500 during a file sale, not 2,100.
Got it.
Oh, so
It's just to make it easier. Like, how much money do we need? Oh, it's 2,100.
That makes it sound like everything's gonna be 50%.
yeah. So Teddy, does that mean
Yeah.
it's always 50% now?
Remember there was
Alright.
a time where the sales weren't they free to buy back?
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
crazy?
yeah.
It was
That
free
was
selves.
great.
It was free
Yeah.
selves and
free
a free
selves
buyback.
and free buybacks was insane.
That was horny. All right. So, okay, huge W that they, another one, reduce loadout costs to 50. This isn't a Q&A. Don't push your luck. My bad, Dad. My bad. Hey, my bad, Dad. My bad. All right. Reduce loadout costs to 15K. So, what does this mean, right? 20% reduction. That's what we did the math, right?
Well, it says that the loadout cost will scale base, so I would imagine it's 15, 12, 10, and 8. Like, even it's a couple 500 off of whatever, it doesn't really matter. The key is that they lowered the number, and they're just going to be more accessible off the rip.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I'm not opposed. I think I just have to see how it plays out with how much money is actually on the map. Loadout cost scales based on squad size, which you just said. MW3 operators have a new default parachute. Does this mean we can change our parachute now?
Leaks.
By choosing your operator currently until they drop the golden battle pass parachute.
Black cell, yeah. The black cell parachute.
That black cell parachute's gonna go hard though.
Yup. Okay. So that's more than likely what it's saying, right?
We'll have to see. I'm sure they'll
I have no idea.
Cosmetic.
Okay. All right. So it says abandoning a stronghold will now neutralize it. So I wonder, is it as soon as you step out of that UAV zone, it neutralizes it? Or is that like, hey, when there's nobody, you're not in that UAV zone for 10 seconds, it's now neutralized? Like, I wonder what will be that point for that. You know what I'm saying?
That was for strongholds, right?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah,
So
we
I'm pretty
talked
sure
a
if you-
little bit about that
yeah.
on the last one too.
So if you cap a stronghold and if you leave the area, I'm sure within a certain radius, your stronghold just completely disables, and then you'd have to recap it, I'm sure, in order to get it back.
Yeah. Okay. All right. These are the little things, right?
Yeah.
So gas mask overlay has been adjusted for a clear view. Because at next, I was like, brother, I'm in some goggles, bro.
That's a little exaggeration, but yeah. It's just barely was black edges on the corners of your screen.
He's one shot on me. He's one shot.
No, bro. I love it.
Oh shoot.
So W that they decide. Okay, again, we don't know numbers wise, right? We saw, remember, season 5, season 3 movement change, increased dive. It was like 0.001 of the dive. How much did they clear up in this? I don't know, right? Like, but I'm hoping it looks good. Plate carriers are now 1-to-1 in function with their perk. Okay, let's go over this because I need to learn right now. Okay, what plate carriers are in the game at the moment from what we know?
Medic,
They got rid of tempered, right?
communications, and stealth vest.
No, a tempered could still be in it technically.
Yeah, tempered is a perk, but it could also be a vest. We don't know yet.
Oh, but for sure it is a perk, but we just don't know if it's
a perk. We don't know if it's a vest, though. It probably is, I'm assuming.
Okay, so tempered. Medic is now what?
That would be quick fix, no?
Yeah.
Oh, and now the other one. What's the other one?
Survivor?
No, medic is survivor.
Survivor.
Where you pick up your teammates faster, yeah.
And they added it to where you now regenerate health faster. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that shit?
Quick fix.
No, quick fix is whenever you get a kill, you regenerate.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, it's kind of a
quick
half
fix
of
also
it. Yeah.
regenerates your health quicker, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Like if you were in the zone and then you ran out of the zone, your health would regen faster than normal.
It was from 7 to 5 seconds.
It wasn't just kills. It wasn't just kills.
So either way, that's like gonna be, which is huge regardless. I love that. And then lastly, okay, this is the one that everybody.
No, there's 2 more.
Oh, what's the other one before?
Comms vest and stealth.
Comms. So comms vest is acting like bird's eye, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I cannot wait to see the changes on bird's eye, man.
What changes do you think should be made to bird's eye / comms vest?
I think, here's my theory. I think if you pop 1 UAV, it technically counts as popping 2. And if you pop 2 UAVs, it should be counting as 3. I think popping 1 UAV and getting an advance is kind of stupid.
I agree. That's comparable.
I think you should have to pop 2 UAVs in order to get that advanced. Because then technically, with the comms vest, you're saving 1 UAV technically.
That could be cool.
That's a good balance. That's a good balance.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Also, yeah. So, and my boy Aiden said in the chat, I hope they change the advanced UAVs to the way they were. I'm pretty sure in Verdansk, where you can see if they're up or down. But it's kind of hard when they're doing the direction. So I don't know how they would.
But no, the advanced UAVs have always shown that. The only thing is everyone ran ghost, so they had a dot with the elevation. But if they didn't have ghost, they always showed up as an arrow. Yeah, always. It's always been that way. They've never shown elevation with advanced UAVs unless the person's running ghost, where they appear as a dot. Then you got the chevron above or below.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then stealth is the last one, which will be ghost.
Stealth vest, which is ghost. They pretty much made stealth vest ghost, and they've fixed it, right? Because before it was way too OP.
You couldn't see him there was no counter at all to stealth vest.
Yep.
Okay. So then W in that regard, right?
Yes, that's a huge change.
The only thing we're concerned about is comms vest / bird's eye. What changes did they make to that? Because it's a little bit overpowered at the moment, right? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Which I think what I said could possibly fix it. Popping 2 UAVs instead of 1 could be like a huge, like, we have to pop 2, not just 1 for an advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the pacing is one pulse every 5 seconds. I think it goes down to 3, and then it's every 1 if you're
Correct.
popping multiple.
Yeah, so
but,
if you pop 1 UAV, you'll get the quicker UAV scan, but if you pop 1 more, then you get the advanced.
that would be cool. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Makes sense.
Also, something to keep in mind since we're talking about the perks is you're going to get those base 4 or 5 perks that you get by default, which we've talked about with the gear.
Yes.
I know there's some confusion with that every time it's brought up, but you're going to get those by default. And then you go grab your loadout, and then you get 4 more perks. Then you go grab a vest, and then you're getting another perk. So you're going to have like 10 perks walking around with a loadout and a vest.
Which you're practically going to be having specialist.
You better
Yeah.
Which W.
Plus, it's actually an extra perk on top of that because you don't have to run overkill. So then you get like it's kind of crazy.
Exiled, it's 5 perks by default, not 3 or 2. So, okay. Now, redeploy drones only move when they are deep in gas. I don't know how many times in Warzone 2 where I'm running towards like one of those, and then as soon as I'm like about to get to it, that motherfucker just flies away, bro.
Yeah, they were so inconsistent. I don't think anybody knew how they moved.
Those were time based. They were time based. I did a couple tests in solos with it where I'd go, wait, look at it. And usually the second it touched gas, it was like a 20-second timer or 30-second timer. I don't remember the number now, but it was a specific number. Regardless, as soon as it touched gas, it moves from that point.
Yeah, I wonder now, like it says if they're deep in the gas. So I'm assuming they're using meters as a metric of how deep it is. And then, and if so, it'd be really cool. Obviously, if they can't say anything, right? But it'd be really cool to know how many meters exactly is like deep. What is considered deep, right? Because like then you can plan rotations.
It's probably whatever they've deemed as inaccessible. Honestly, like if it's getting to a point where it's inaccessible, then it needs to move, and that's whatever that notion is. Apparently not 30
plays
meters.
with that. You see somebody going for that, you shoot that shoot that down so fast.
From a competitive stance, anything that is consistent, whatever that deep number is, like anything that is 100% consistent across the board is a good thing. Like that
Gojj might be right. It might be like within like a full gas masturation or something, like something like that. No, that's a good point.
Chat, y'all, for those y'all saying 30 meters, that is buy stations. We're talking about redeploy drones. Okay, all right. Let's see. Increase redeploy drone catapult distance, which obviously I know you guys haven't played it, right? But it feels fucking amazing. This redeploy actual like catapult, it feels insane. Like, thank God they did this because now you can actually get through, like, go through a big chunk of the map and rotations are going to feel very good. Very good. So the zombies one, I'm pretty sure the zombies one was slowed down, right? The zombie zip, I'm like almost sure because what I remember, this is just what I recall from Next, those zips like launched you. And the zombies ones felt a little toned down.
Yeah. Something I noticed,
what I noticed.
I didn't test it with the drones, which I should have, but the portals, if you hit the portal, you can shoot your gun while you're flying. So I don't know if that's going to be changed on the drones
I think it's just differences in builds. I think the zombies build was probably an older build than what they're launching with. And then whenever we get the major update, it might get those updates to zombies. If Treyarch has been working with Raven to like align some of those features. Yeah, I would imagine because the drones kind of suck in zombies. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, cool, I went 100 meters. You know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. I like it. Yo, by the way, people keep saying red doors. Yo, if we could have some type of mid-season event, not even this season, season 2, season 3, season 4, where we have something as crazy and fun as red doors or Nakatomi.
Well, there's a lot because I don't know, like I didn't realize how many bunkers there are. I was looking at the overhead view of the map. There's like 20 different bunkers.
Maybe a little sneak peek into what's coming.
You could see the doors in zombies. Like you could walk up to the door. Obviously, there's nothing going on. They might be for season 4. Who the hell knows? But the reality is there's tons of underground bunkers that are inaccessible, and they haven't been wall breached, or if they have, there's nothing there yet. So
okay, all right. Ooh, I'm so excited, bro. I hope they get cool stuff like that, man. So it says less extreme default first circles. I'm assuming that means less like drastic left, drastic right, drastic middle. That's what that probably means, right?
Yeah, it would mean like your first circle is not going to be 50% off the map, which we get all the time. Yeah, like even in comp, we got that all the time, and it was like, what's going on?
Which we were like, bro, remember what's the resurgence map they had for one day?
Oh God, Fortress, Albaga Fortress.
Yeah, Albaga Fortress, when they had that shit, and like literally every zone was half water, like it was like literally. So
that's what this is for sure, and that's huge for competitive because that actually allows people to start playing around their favorite drop spots and claiming those. Like current day, it was like we have our favorite drop spot, but if the zone's chalked, we're chalked, and mitigating some of that RNG is nice.
Oh, bro. Okay. So then, low health visual overlay is more transparent for better visibility, and low health visual overlay starts at lower health. So I think this is a fucking huge W. This is what happens whenever you're one shot and your whole screen just like turns black and white and red, and like it's like doof 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 doof, like you know,
it's so intense.
It is insane. Look, I will say this, man, I hope Teddy is listening, and I don't know if it's even possible, but bro, the biggest thing I hate whenever I'm one shot is for whatever. Yes, realism. I get it, bro.
It mutes out.
Yes.
The audio.
Your audio, literally, I'm not kidding. It's like your audio is gone. It literally goes away. Like, and then once you like your character literally breathes, like whenever he's back to good health, and then you can hear again. So
like, it's almost like when you get hit with the frag, and then it's like you have to wait for the frag to like the ringing to end. Yeah.
So yeah. I wish it in the thing it said low health does not reduce audio. I wish it said that, but guys, go into a game right now and try it out. Go get one shot, and you'll see her. Again, there's already no audio in Warzone 2 as it is. I hope there's been some improvements in that.
Hopefully there's improvements. I know you played some Warzone. Have you driven driven vehicles or driven next to anybody, bro? And zombies?
The vehicles, dog, they're insane.
No, but the audio is like delayed.
Oh yeah, sometimes it trails. Sometimes it trails. Yeah. I'm like, dog, did my cargo, was it back there? Like, what's good, bro? I'm still driving, man.
You go to the Merc camp, the little drone, the counter UAV. It's like, I hear the audio over there, but I see it over there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so another good one, which I'm really happy about, is spawn protection time decreased to 2.5 seconds from 10 seconds, bro. So you know how in
2.5 is so fast too.
Yeah.
It'd be like you won't ever see it.
Yeah. So you know how like in pubs in Warzone 2 is literally like, bro, people would just be chilling, hanging out, just getting shot, and it's like, bro, why do I even shoot? Yeah, why do I even shoot you? You know what I'm saying?
Think about it too, with all the amount of times people are respawning back into the map. Like, this is a massive change. Like, with how many people are going to be coming back onto the map constantly, you're going to be able to actually shoot people out of the air.
I'm so happy that they did so many quality of life changes. I love it. So now it says reduce the slowdown when landing from a jump. So there's a couple things
that's so weird, because the wording is so weird, because I feel like it should say fall. If it was thinking like the fall, if you jump off a building and you get that weird,
like
I can't
stun,
walk.
like my legs are broken.
Or when you do the parachute, there's a long delay after you land. But that sounds like a bunny hop.
Wait,
like, what?
It sounds like fall damage.
Wait, hold on. That could be bunny hop. Reduce the slowdown when landing from a jump. Does that mean whenever you? It's kind of.
It could mean either, depending on how you interpret it.
Yeah, is it like when you cut your chute? No, because that's not landing from a jump. Then could that be like, let's say you jump off a building and then for a split second, it's like you go, like your character literally does this. Like hold on, my shorts, bro. It's like your guy goes like, poof. Like he like regains and then runs. Maybe it's like you
hit the ground and you can run immediately.
I think it's that one. I think it's that one. Yeah.
Unless
when you take fall damage, you get full stun when you take fall damage. No, it's not bunny hopping. You're tripping.
I don't know. You never
That'd
know.
be sick.
You never know. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so W, regardless of what it is, I would hope that is bunny hopping. You know. Now, more contracts available in the late game. Yo, low key, I didn't even think about something like this. We never really have any, right?
No.
I think they went up to zone 4 or 5 when they kept spawning on the map.
So every zone, do they usually now they spawn? Every zone, there's a new contract.
I would imagine that's what that's doing.
So now there's probably just going to flood more and more the more zones you go.
Or just keep it consistent. I mean, didn't contract stop when Gulag closed or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
So that was zone whatever 4 or 5. Like that just means you're gonna have contracts into the late game, which means you can grab bounties into circles 6, 7 potentially, which totally changes what information you have.
Yeah, you could grab them before, but it would be super RNG if they were like available.
Yeah.
But this is like, almost guaranteed you're gonna have XYZ contracts.
Or a big game bounty going into the late game. I mean,
That'd be insane. That'd be insane.
And you got to think that some of these contracts now give you things if you complete them, right? I don't know. There's a lot there that'll change the way the game's played.
Yeah, big game bounties spawning late would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to play. Let's see what happens. Scavenger contract is back and awards guaranteed plate carrier. Okay, there was is there a plate carrier coming? Or
Wait,
what's the deal with this?
Carrier?
No, I think that's the perk one. It's just a generic one. I think it's gonna be RNG, so it could be unless it means that you're gonna up your plates up to 8.
Is that that low key? Yeah, like I forgot what I saw on Twitter
Maybe that
somewhere.
Is a satchel.
I hope
So
they're
that's
not
what it
talking about
used to
2
be.
plate and 3 plates. I hope they're not talking about 2 plate, 3 plate.
No, definitely not. I don't think. Listen. I do not think that Raven would ever bring that back.
Well, look at the line above Stealth Vest. It says plate carriers are now 1-to-1. So I would assume.
Okay, so these are the same terminology there. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that means you get one of the plate carriers. It's just
like
a
a
matter
med
of
vest,
which.
stealth vest, or a comms vest. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh,
So maybe you do 3 of those, and everyone in your team has one.
Oh,
Hey, you're doing scavs a lot more often. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a big boon, and you're getting money from it. Like that's worth doing, 100%.
Yeah, because there is really no real way to get vests right now. Like you're kind of just like, oh, like let's check this table. So
that's
that could be
actually a huge
like,
change.
Like, hey, we have some time. We need a vest. Like, let's do it or no?
Another way to mitigate RNG, which look, I'm here for that, especially when a comp standpoint. Like the more cause and effects there are, the better from a competitive standpoint, right?
For sure.
Okay, I actually love that.
Especially now that perks and vests are 1-to-1, because now you're like, hey, I have Ghost. I need a comms vest. Like, can we try and get a scavenger done so I can get a comms vest so I can have both?
That like, bro, if like. Okay, so what if
you start the match by doing one of those, and then based off what you get, you go grab your loadout with the opposite perk that you don't.
You set up multiple loadouts. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I like that. Okay, but why have I been seeing on Twitter a lot of people have been saying, yo, I think satchels are back. There was something that got released that like the wording and people were like, yo, like satchels like are back. What was it? Do you guys know? It was on Twitter somewhere.
It the zombies vest stuff?
I'm so down for satchels.
I don't know where it was, but somebody said
holding 8
it.
plates would be insane.
Yeah,
then it'd be like,
insane.
who cares about the gas mask taking a spot?
Or even like 6. If you could do like 6, you know, like in the plate carrier, that'd be sweet.
Because
I think it's 5 right now, isn't it?
No, it's 3.
Is it only 3?
Yeah.
Oh
In
yeah,
Warzone?
you're right. Yeah.
It's 3
Damn
and then
it,
3,
3 is so low.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if we get like a
I'm used
satchel,
to
it gets up
zombies.
to
I've been
6.
playing too many hours of that.
Yeah, you love it. This guy loves it. No, but actually, the like 6 would be in like a perfect balance. I feel like.
But it would replace your medic or your whatever, right?
Oh,
like wouldn't it be its own carrier?
Nobody would use it if that was the case.
Yeah, nobody would. I think.
I don't think so. There's no way 2 extra plates in an inventory slot is worth as much as a full-on perk.
What if it was 8? What if it was 8?
8? Even then. You have so many spots in your inventory and none are reserved for ammo.
Oh, true. Didn't think about that. Good comms. Good comms.
like,
good comms.
Like literally, you can hold 14 plates, bro. No,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there's no
If it's a satchel, if there's a satchel, if there's a satchel that doesn't affect the plate thing, then I'm down. That'd be sweet.
Wow.
Yeah, it would have to be an addition to.
What if like you could only get it from black sites or something? You know, I don't know, just like a little, little extra there.
Yeah, that low key would. I don't know. I heard that satchels are back. And I'm not talking about the 2 plate, 3 plate. Never bring that back ever. Never.
You're talking about
never.
the 8 plate that we had in Warzone 1.
Yeah, that I remember. Like those little moments are so special. Of like finding tempered on the floor. I'd be like, oh my god, finding combat Scott on the floor back in Caldera, finding satchel. Like those are like cool things that like I love those little mini moments that happen during games sometimes that make you feel like ooh, like I'm happy, So yeah, I mean that's that. Hopefully we'll see what happens. Let's see now. Intel contract capture can be sped up by multiple squad mates being present. That Intel's like that's a recon, right?
It's
Recon.
originally a recon, and they kind of made it more similar to recon earlier this year. Before you had to go do the thing to do the next thing to do the next thing. It was a multi-step process. They streamlined it, but it was not still sped up. So it was a slow timer. It felt like you were there forever. Now, if you're in quads, you could all jump on there and maybe it'll slow it down to 12 seconds or whatever, like it was back in Verdansk.
Yeah.
Nice.
Same
not
thing
bad.
where it's like they're trying to make it where people actually use it, right? Like if you have a full team
no one
on it,
uses
it's
that
gonna be
shit.
way faster.
Yeah,
You
nobody
guys
did.
remember back in Verdansk? Did anybody else think that those recons went faster if you like spun in circles?
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys
remember that?
remember
Remember that? Yeah.
I tested all that. No, none of that.
It looked like
It's just
that.
a
Leave it to
visual, it's just a
JGOD to
visual
fucking-
illusion.
Yeah,
It's
of
a
course.
visual illusion.
I was on the
Yeah.
case. I was on
I'm
the
just
case,
saying,
guys.
everybody was on that. I was tuning into streams back at Verdansk. People just spinning
everyone was
on
spinning.
masses.
Yep.
I love that, man. Okay, so most wanted contracts now awards guaranteed Gulag entry kit in the supply. I said fucking clit. Oh my god. Most wanted contract.
That's insane.
Most wanted contract now awards guaranteed Gulag entry kit in the supply box, bro. All right. Which I think, bro.
I think that's a pretty straightforward one. You can use it strategically to guarantee yourself a Gulag token. Give it to the best player on the team if you guys have already used it. And then you're good to go.
And if you're, the most wanted contract, you're able to survive, but somebody's hunting you into the last seconds, you go down, you're okay. It's worth your time because you go back to the gulag. You know what I'm saying? Like oftentimes when you're doing those most wanteds and you're like running around trying not to die, usually you complete it right as a team's like jumping on you. And this would reward you with that gulag reentry.
Well,
kit.
I think it would still drop the most wanted thing, and they have to open up the crate, and that probably gives you the gulag.
Wait, that is so sick. Yeah, Teddy just said.
You're right. You're right.
He said, don't sleep on the Gulag entry kits from the most wanted supply crate. That means whether you complete a most wanted or you push a most wanted target, either way, it introduces a Gulag entry kit into the
because
match.
you get the
I see
reward.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, because you get the reward for it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you see those,
The
you're like,
crate.
hey, who needs a Gulag? We're full sending this this little red crown. It's ours now.
Dude,
That is actually cool.
Yeah.
Teddy, you must change your name legally to Ted Himmons, bro.
Ted Hemmons.
You please, bro, please. Wow. And it would. I'm
It's
assuming
crazy
it
when
just
you
be one,
think
right?
about stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, probably just one.
It's crazy that like I've never, like, yeah, we play Warzone all the time. Like this is our job, right? But like, they just added 40 things that I was like, yo, I never thought about this kind of stuff that could be improved, right? Like. Think about all the little things that affect the overall experience and like what kind of goes into being a dev, right? That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Score events in game are now yellow text. What's that? Score events.
It's just anything that pops up. Like if something happens, it's just a visibility issue thing, I think.
I don't even
It's just
remember
changing
score.
the color.
Okay. All right. Input delay when getting in vehicles to accelerate has been
Right?
reduced.
Doesn't that mean like when you complete a contract, instead of a white text, maybe it'd be more visible red text or yellow text or something?
Yeah.
Like it's
We'll
super
see it.
just
We'll see it.
basic,
I don't
but
know what
it's
that is
a
specifically, but
it's a
we'll see it.
visibility thing probably.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what that's just a text, not a text error on their part, like of what I understand a score event to be. I don't know what that is.
Like
Is that
a
a score streak, like a UAV and all
Or maybe if you
precision
get
and
a
all that?
kill, maybe any score event that pops
Oh.
up plus 200 for a
Yeah,
kill.
yeah. That makes way more sense to me. Like you get score based on your
Oh.
kills, kind of thing. Not that it's different. It's just that's gonna
It's
be
all
yellow.
score events. Yeah, if you get an
Yeah, yeah.
assist, if you get whatever.
Okay.
They pretty much just
It's
made.
probably-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Okay.
we played at next, I think, is basically the pop-ups.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Kestico said the down text like in Warzone 1. Like when you down somebody, it pops up
Yeah, it was
yellow down.
Oh, instead of
White.
white, which
Yeah. It's like
do the kills go white.
They've
and the
always
downs
been
are
white.
Yellow, or okay, I don't know. Whatever. I'm in. Sounds
Yeah.
good to me.
I'm
fuck it,
sure
fuck
they
it.
decided
Yeah.
it looks better, right?
if it's on the
Yeah.
list, it's got to be a W, right? Like, okay. Now, input delay when getting into vehicles to accelerate has been reduced by 50%. All right,
Huge.
so let's talk about this. I've been hearing that these cars, you know, feel pretty damn good. JGOD, you got to play.
Yo, JGOD.
Yeah, you got to play.
No, we didn't get to play with the cars.
Oh, you did it? Oh, I thought.
No,
oh,
no,
that's
I
not a
asked about the
multiplayer.
cars. I literally, during the Q&A, like I said, I had a list and I said, hopefully, like, and because they said we could pretty much mainly ask about what was in the presentation. So I had to, like, you know, talk about cars in a way, like Ground War, you know? But I said, all the cars feel like trash. Like, that's what I said.
Yeah.
And I said, like, why do they all feel like trash? Like, literally, you don't want to drive any of them.
Yeah.
And then they basically said, oh, there should be some tuning for that or something, that there should be improvements coming. And I don't know if this is the improvements or is this is part 1 of 3 of improvements. I don't know.
Okay. So pretty much you just accelerate faster.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they fix the other bug with the nade when you get out.
Oh, dude, did they fix which I think it should be on their radar? Hopefully, they fixed it in Caldera, but then when Warzone 2 introduced, it went away again. Where people who play flipped, if you press R1 to zoom into your map, you start firing.
And you start driving too.
Yeah, and you start driving. Yeah, pretty much. So I hope
I don't think so. I don't think so. That's one where I remember I played the I think MW2 early when we played it in June. I was like, oh, this is it. I mean, it always happens. Even in Cold War, when you jump on the motorcycle, you could ADS, but if you had flip triggers, you couldn't ADS while driving.
Yeah.
But you could if you had normal. I don't know. It's always an issue with flip.
Fucking lot, bro. Okay, all right. Now moving on to that is all the 40 quality of life changes coming to Warzone 3. I don't even know what to call it, but I'm gonna call it Warzone 3. And so those are that was a lot, boys. What is y'all's overall thoughts on the quality of life changes?
Massive. I think, you know, I had some of the most fun I've ever had with World Series Warzone, but there was a lot that we kind of just smiled and waved at, right? Yeah. Whether it was some of that signal cheese, which is what it is, but a lot of that was the RNG that came with the game for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, I'm going to take this from a competitive standpoint. This keeps the game super fun, while also helping create a more competitive environment for a potential ranked playlist into a potential series of tournaments. Like, this is such a huge W that it gets me even more excited than I already was. Like, I didn't have this list beforehand. I was reading through a lot of it, and it just changes the competitive landscape in a dramatic way by that very simple notion of mitigating RNG to some degree while keeping it a battle royale, while also having the game still be fun. There is a level and a line that you have to ride between that, and somehow they've done that. They've ridden that line perfectly to have the game be a lot of fun, a lot of regain chances. It's not a one and done, and it's competitive, or at least can be competitive if they want it to be. And that's a huge win, huge across the board for casuals and competitive players, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look. So Teddy asked us a question. He said, out of all the 40 quality of life changes that were introduced for season 1, what out of everything is y'all's favorite? I mean, I know Ebatez and Gojj, you guys don't have the list.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to know. If
there's anything that out of everything that kind of stuck out to you, what is it? I have mine. I mean, there's a lot of good, dude. There's a lot of good ones. There's
so many good ones that, like, we've been talking about most of this year. I mean, it was like a bash Warzone 2 year. I know, unfortunately, that's kind of what it felt like most of the year. But I mean, they address so many, it's really hard. I think the reduced cost of loadout, we get it closer to what that Warzone 1 feel was. I mean, the less nonsense on our screen with the red, that's such a huge, because you're going to experience that in practically every gunfight.
Yeah, it's the little things that you experience every game that, like, they've, like, minimized and just made better. It's like the little things that just add up, man. It just makes such a huge difference. But one I don't think that was on that list that I really like is the water in the pistol, which I feel like that's quality of life.
That's sick.
That's huge. That is quality of life, right?
Yeah, that is a quality of life for sure. And that wasn't on the list, but that's a huge one. They already notified us about it.
So these ones,
right?
Like, these are things that weren't really mostly in our build, I think, when we played.
Yeah, true. Wait, so like, would the perks be considered quality of life? Like, the perks by default? I think that's
awesome too. Yeah.
Cause I guess I'll stick to this list, but, like, definitely if I'm talking perks are the 5 base perks, which could even be, you can have more things in there. Like, that quality of life is going to literally change Warzone forever. Obviously the overkill is going to change Warzone forever. But I think first and foremost, what I want to see, and I want to know, I know I'm not going to get any answers, but I'll wait till Wednesday. But the slide distance is impacted by the surface incline. So, okay, you know what? Now that I'm rereading it, it says slide distance is now impacted by surface incline, not decline.
But incline is up and down are both the same. One's just
really?
negative.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like acceleration. If you slow down, you're still accelerating, but it's negative. But you would call it deceleration.
Yeah. And I would also say that also rereading that does say, it says distance, not speed too.
Yep.
So it would be how far do you go maintaining your normal slide speed without slowing down is what that does, which I still think is a win, right? Like I think that's a win, and it's going to be determinant on how steep that incline or decline is.
I think I'm just gonna have to wait and see, but I mean, I don't know. That right there is a huge W. I don't know, bro. I'm not even trolling. Like, it feels very refreshing to finally talk good about the game. Like, yeah, I don't know.
And I think there's a lot of things, like even the thing you mentioned about the perks, like, this is really off a tangent, but like, you know how Fortnite, they just did a big thing where they reinvented their game after reinventing their game after so many years, and they reinvented their game again. It's like one of those things. I wonder if there's ever a point we'd get to Warzone where you load in and there are no perks because you got everything. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because think about it. Before, you could load in and you'd say, oh, the game feels like trash without fast hands or without amped. Remember, like, you couldn't even play the game without amped.
Well, the thing is, I feel like
we're going to have reload walls, the weapon swapping. Like, there's a lot of perks that, like, you're not going to need to necessarily, oh, I have to go get my perks right away. You can go to the buy station, get the one gun, and then you're off to the races to go get your scavengers done and your big game bounty. And, you know, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think about, like, how they can change things.
So, okay, well, like, I don't think any of us ever felt like that back in Warzone 1. Like, apart from your actual
95% used in every loadout.
But even then, it was like even now, like, bro, the difference in Warzone 2, having perks to not having perks was literally night and day. Back in Warzone 1, it was like, oh, fuck, like, I can't swap weapons fast. But, like, it wasn't that crazy. Even now, like, what was it called that it's increased swap weapon perks?
Fast hands.
Fast hands. But no, there's another one, right? One of the default ones?
It's fast hands.
Are you talking about Warzone 2
the default ones.
The default ones.
Gloves. It's the gloves,
yeah,
right?
The gloves.
It's the specific gloves.
Yeah.
So,
are you talking about actual perks or the gear perks?
The default perks. What are
that we're
there's
getting
5.
On default. I think there's gloves.
There are gloves, right?
Quick
that
gloves,
make you
right? Just quick gloves. I'm pretty sure.
And it makes you change weapons faster, right?
Pretty sure they're quick gloves.
Yeah,
but
and
maybe
then
somebody can check it up out.
Yeah, it's quick grip. They're saying. So then, again, this comes another question.
How does that stack?
Does it stack with fast hands? Because fast hands is still in the game. So now, is it like, yo, you're already gonna be swapping weapons pretty fast, like, but now if you have fast hand, it's like, brother, like, you're moving now. So
I'm sure it's not a percentage thing. I'm sure it's like one or the other, maybe. But I guess we'll see. I don't know if the percentages will stack. I don't think they'll stack.
I hope they multiply, not even just stack, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Once an instant, you change weapons instantly.
Nah, you know what I'm saying? Oh man. Okay, so now chapter intentions and more necessarily things to know going into this next chapter, right? Is bugs or imbalances. There might be bugs or balancing outliers at launch, and they said in big bold letters they will fix them. All right, they will fix them. Okay. Continued quality of life improvements, 150 plus carry forward quality of lives from this year's of Warzone with more than 30 new track season 1 improvements, which we read like 40. Wow. Yeah. So there's insane.
Can I make a quick ad?
Yeah.
One of the ones we didn't really talk about was the enemy pings shown in kill cams.
That's so huge.
That's got to be one of the biggest ones, especially from the scene I'm hanging out in, the comp scene. I mean, we got to talk about how many times we reset 2v2s, how many times we're like, there's no way they knew. And all it took was
900 meters away,
ping.
bro. There's no way I was live ping, bro.
That is the top of my list by a long shot.
Yeah, 100% that helps.
it is going to be a huge game changer from the comp side, and it's going to be a game changer from just the general what people think of the game, right? Like, I think that's a huge thing from their side. It's like they're not thinking of 2v2 wagers or whatever. They're thinking of what's the perception of our game. Oh, there's so many cheaters, so many cheaters, so many cheaters. But if you see the live ping when you die and you have half a brain, you're gonna be like, oh, that's why they knew I was here, right?
Yeah.
I was live ping, yeah.
The other big one that we already talked about was my favorite was the backpack to load out auto equip. That was massive.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Which you have a UAV, you pop one, it automatically goes if you have a second one. Did everybody give their favorite? I think we all did, right?
Yeah.
I think okay. I'll continue.
There's too many to like, to be honest.
Yeah, all those were good. They were great.
They did great. If we could fix the audio when one shot, cooking. Okay, so continued focus on pacing. So this is what I want everybody. And again, I was a big advocate for why, like, I don't want 100 players. But we'll play it out on Monday and we'll see how it goes. But hearing this from them is amazing. So they said changes will be made if necessary based on time to action data from season 1. So I mean, if they see that it's so like slow, they'll change it at least. I just, again, I want to take a quick second to Wednesday. My bad. Sorry. I have my days confused. Leave me alone. Like the fact that take a second to just really be like, damn, like we're really getting this much level of communication. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, especially with the year that we've had, it's been nuts, man. So I guess
this is probably more than we got all year in Warzone 2.
Huge shout out to them. Yeah, no, you're not even trolling. Huge shout out to them, man. So this is a big one. Updated weapon metas. We will keep the weapon meta healthy throughout the year, including tactical and lethal balancing. So we actually just talked about this. What do you guys think is a healthy meta change as far as time wise? We talked about this a little bit in the last podcast, but as far as like how many months is healthy? How many months? And this is for chat as well, for you guys and chat. Every how many weeks should the meta change? Every what is considered healthy?
For my opinion, I would say that it's good to have a comfortable meta where there's like one or two viable, like really ultimately meta wager weapons for long range and short range. And then you should have like 3 like very good weapons. But if you're playing with money, you probably use the other ones. I think every season, the top 2 should be like nerfed. And then those ones obviously could elevate. And then, so the people are still using these good guns. It's not like they're pulling guns out of nowhere. They're making the meta, because that's part of the leveling issue where there's people, when we talked to the studio, I think that he said something like, there's no way. Like, I don't think you guys understand how little people have leveled up guns that are casuals who own the game.
Yeah.
Like, less than 5 weapons max level.
It takes a lot of time.
It's
it takes
something
a lot of time.
crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of chat, everybody is saying 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Just for reference, guys, we had quite literally like every 6 months. Every 5 months we had a new meta, just like, and that's not even me exaggerating. That is like actual, like RPK we had for like 5 months, like Cronin we had for like 4 months, like, so
You say he's a casual.
I
10 days played.
I personally think every season is a good, for sure. I agree with y'all though. Like, I would want 2 weeks. I would want every month. Like new meta, but realistically speaking, I think a season is every 2 months. I believe 2 months. I think every season is a good baseline for like
a good middle ground for sure.
Because I mean, if we're getting every 5 to 6 months, last year is what we got. Like,
and to add to that, what makes it infinitely easier is when you drop the new guns, make them broken as shit. So then it feels like we get a new meta, even if it's just for a week.
Yeah.
Then rebalance them right after.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, sell a bundle.
Everyone has to switch.
Sell a bundle. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think last podcast, me and JGOD were saying like 6 to 8 weeks is probably like a fair, like every, new meta. But if there's any like broken, busted guns, then obviously they can make changes like accordingly. If they're like, hey, like hot fix, this gun's like insane, we need to fix this. Like,
yeah, like we don't want a DMR meta for
2 months, especially.
right?
Whole
Whole
season
season.
is way too long for like some broken ass guns. So
Well, two things. One, I think they've already showed that they're willing to do that. I mean, you know, with the amount of transparency we've already seen this early in communication they're having this early, likely they fix weapons way faster. And then two, I think 45 to 60 days is about standard now, or should be standard going forward, which is all the same that you guys are saying.
Yeah.
And that's fairly reasonable, I think 60 days. But I think one thing we don't talk about often is like, there's some people out there that don't play Modern Warfare 3 and will only play Warzone. And the only way they level up their guns is by playing Warzone. Somebody said it in chat, like if they rotated ground loot more often, people could actually level up weapons more often.
Yep, that's
if you're
a
only
huge
playing
part
Warzone.
of it. Yep.
Like that's a huge part of metas and what weapons people even have. Like if you drop one of these weapons that's, you know, not paywall, but you know what I'm talking about, like don't know wall 600 hours to unlock everything for it. Like it's going to be really tough for the casual to be able to play the game.
I mean, look,
And
bro,
it's good when there's a meta weapon on the floor loot.
Did they talk about
No,
that?
it wasn't mentioned in there.
No. I was looking at chat. Somebody, I didn't see who it was. I'd give you creds, but that was a big brain moment of like, you have to be rotating ground loot for the casuals to be able to have a rotating meta that's rotating often.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I remember we used to land and you'd get the foul and then you would be like, hell yeah, I got a ground loot foul.
Yeah.
I'm running with this. Let me go get this other gun because the foul was so nasty.
Yeah.
But there was other guns. Those are
Other things,
multiple of those metas in Warzone. But like, that's one that really stands out to me where I knew, okay, I got a green one. Doesn't matter. I'm fine.
I mean, bro, like just in general, like if they're going to be updating the metas this frequently, right? Like definitely ground loot should. I loved actually in Verdansk, and I know we keep bringing it up, but it is the gold standard, right? Like going and finding, and like a new update comes out, season 2 comes out, and you know going in, it's gonna feel different. It's gonna feel different. It's not gonna feel like how all the other ones feel. You know what I'm saying? Bro, people in the YouTube comments will be like, "Bro, what is chat talking about?" I swear to God, fucking Dante. But yeah, I mean, so I definitely think they should. 3 things need to be updated consistently: metas, ground loot, and then gulags, which they talk about right now. But yeah, I mean, boys, is that pretty safe to say floor loot should be changed every season?
yes.
I think there's no reason. I mean, I know there's probably reasons not to from a code or whatever, but there's no reason not to from a gameplay loop standpoint. Like being able to change that is not the mitigating RNG we're talking about of, oh, it's always this, always this. It's changing it to keep the game fresh because what you have on the ground determines how you play pre-loadout and, you know, when you're on the regain and trying to restabilize and all that good stuff. Like it's super important, especially for the non-competitive players that maybe don't get their loadout every 30 seconds or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay. So now, and then, which again, I said we'll talk about it. Gulags. They also said updated weapon gulags, weapon loadouts, map variants, or new public events will keep the gulag engaging. So they said updated gulags. Now I'm curious to see, do they actually mean like new gulags, or do they mean just changing the way they look?
It sounded on the call. I don't want to misquote them, but it wouldn't be every season that would get a new gulag. But they do have intentions of adding more gulags more regularly than we had. I don't know if you were you on the call too? No,
I wasn't.
No, not you. I'm talking about Eve Hates.
No, I wasn't.
No, for some reason I thought you were. But I think that was the general gist of it, is that they wanted to do that, but they couldn't commit to doing one a season.
Okay. All right. You know, I would hope that they try to do them once a season. That's every 2 months. Maybe that might be a little too much. I don't know how long it takes to make a gulag. So I don't know. That kind of summarizes. Unless let me know if there's anything that I missed, JGOD. Is there anything else that
I don't think so. I think it was pretty straightforward. There's stuff that we've already talked about previously. But there's it's just so many W's. It's kind of hard to like think negatively on the game. Like I'm just ready to try it out. And then there's also like a lot of things that people aren't thinking about is like, you're going to load into Vondel on Tuesday and then you're going to load into Vondel on Wednesday and it's going to be a completely different game.
Literally, quite literally completely different.
And it's the same map, which is going to be weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe probably a lot of different things that you could do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be super interesting, especially all the water nonsense on that map. going to be interesting.
Oh,
You know, like, I mean,
yo.
there's so many things that are really going to change it, and it's just going to improve the game, and hope it just continues to improve, and
Yeah.
they're being this receptive and continue going forward. Because it's not like they have to start from scratch again. Like, they're actually moving forward. The integration, since it's COD HQ, should be so much smoother. Weapon balancing, all that stuff, and like, it should just be like the smoothest integration I think we've ever had. Sounds too good to be true. It's so dumb.
It definitely does. Like we talked about this again, like 2 whatever podcasts ago. It's like we've never had a good integration. Every single new integration, and I mean, I don't know if you want to count Verdansk, 84, because it's the same map, right?
Hey, Cold War was gas.
That's what I'm saying. It was good. It was very good. But I'm saying, like, this is like a completely new map. I think with Caldera, it was horrible off the start. Like, it literally turned off so many people. Then obviously Warzone 2, new map, horrible off the start. Like, to now we're just expecting the worst. And again, I haven't said the words yet. The 3 words.
Thumbnail.
I haven't said the 3 words yet. But it definitely does seem like Warzone might just be, I don't know. So, I mean, we'll see, man. 2 days left. I'm hella excited. Everybody in the chat saying it. Oh, listen. So, okay. That concludes kind of our first half of the podcast. Yeah, and this is that, Gojj. I mean, yeah. Gojj, be honest with me. Do you have to go?
I'm good. No.
Sure?
I'm
He was
trolling.
memeing, I think.
Yeah, it's been an hour 45 in its first half. No, I'm chilling. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So that's an hour and a half, guys, of talking about the new changes for Warzone. That alone is a podcast, right? So now let's kind of get into the competitive side of things. I know Shifty is foaming at the mouth, ready to hear all this.
He loves it.
Ebatez, I'm gonna let you. Okay, let's talk about this real quick, boys. Would you guys like to go over final power rankings going into? There's not gonna be too many changes. I'm gonna be honest. There shouldn't be, right? Like there's been one event since it happened, and I think maybe there's like 1 or 2 people that you can say got moved up. From this.
But I think it's more important to like maybe discuss some of the team dynamics, because there's been a lot of shifts.
Yes. Right? So that's what I'm saying. So you guys want to go over roster changes and then do the rankings, or would you like to do
rankings first?
Rankings first.
Knock the rankings out, because it's old news. It's Almaz was dead. We're moving to Urza.
So but with this as well, I would like to solidify, and I want this to be a group discussion with us 4 and chat as well. Going into the next year, we will be updating these probably once a month, right? And I would like to keep it with a set of 4 people, with other people coming in and giving their opinions on only people we trust. Hold on, Teddy said, need to dip out. Thank you all for the passion, folks. See you in Urzikstan on Wednesday. Just remember, don't drop on the train. That's where I'll be. Hey, that's a free 50 pot. I'm there, Teddy.
Hey, we had the 1v1 gulag already. We already had the 1v1 gulag.
Hey, can I get a W real quick? Chat, W for Mr. Ted Himmons. Ted Himmons, bro. All right. Okay, so I guess before we get into this, I think this is a thing that we should talk about with chat, especially going into this. I would like, so here, and this is discussion. This is not like dictatorship. I want to talk about this. Going forward for these rankings, right? Do you guys believe that people, and this is for a question for chat too, do y'all believe that people competing should be eligible to rate people on the list? So there's 2 caveats to this. I'll give both. One caveat is why people can say, why would people who are in the list be ranking other people? But then the other caveat is, who knows better? Like
the people competing.
The actual skill of people competing than somebody that plays against them every single day, right? Again, I will say this right now, they will not be allowed to rank themselves. This is what I came up with. This is, people compete no more than viewers. I agree 1,000%. So this is kind of what I came up with, and let me know what you guys think, right? Chat, everybody, Braxton, Sage, let me know. So what I would like to do is have certain people in the top 10 come on and give their opinions on certain players, right? And give their rankings. But they would be ranking every single person on the list except for themselves, right? For example, I'm going to show you guys the list right now. JGOD, what did you do to zoom in? Is it just like control zoom, or is
Control
it
and
Control
scroll or
plus.
control plus?
okay? So this, I don't think that works here. I guess that doesn't work here, so I just do this. Yeah.
If you hold control and hit the plus sign, it should work.
Okay, is that good right there, or should I go 200? 200, screw it, 200. So here is kind of like what I had in mind. So for example, we had Diaz, Shifty, and Ebatez. Ebatez, you were competing at the time. I don't know if you're going to, right? But like this year, but this right here.
I can still hear you real quick. I'm going to the restroom.
Okay. So there's a couple things. There's a couple things that we had Diaz, Shifty, and Ebatez ranked, but they ranked everybody else except for themselves. And then we're gonna have, what I came up is, we'll have a floater judge, which this year was JGOD. Gojj. I would like to have Gojj as a staple in this. And so what that would mean would be the floater gives a ranking for Shifty, the floater gives a ranking for Diaz, and the floater gives a ranking for Ebatez. Whoever it is that comes onto the podcast that's ranking everybody else that is a competitor, obviously they're not allowed to rank themselves, so they would be ranked by somebody who's involved in the scene, and it would probably be like Gojj, Reflections, anybody else on the table who does this for a living, right? Like that is their sole job, and that is what I was thinking. Boys, Ebatez, Gojj, chat, everybody. Sage, Braxton, everybody in the chat. This is a discussion. I will say this though. I'm going to put my foot down on this. Non-negotiable. For the next year, the only tournaments that will count towards this list will be Activision approved tournaments. Yeah. We will not be funding or not be having any Twitter tournaments. We will not be, those will not be a part of any of this list. It will not have the Twitter tournaments, all that stuff, unless it's in an Activision, what's his Warzone, an Activision approved like tournament. So just FYI, that's no discussion. But boys, what do y'all think about what I just stated? Ideally, right? I don't know if you're going to be competing Ebatez, but I would like it to be this 4 as the core 4, and then maybe we bring like Reflections or anything else, right? Or somebody else in that space and bring them on, and they could be the floater ones. So let's say if I bring Soka, which by the way, chat, I asked Soka because you guys always get so mad that Soka's third. I asked him to come over here and he didn't want to, but Soka, D, Shifty, like I would bring in like the top 5 realistically.
Well, he's tied for second, but yeah.
Yeah, he's tied for second, right? Which the tiebreaker was Gojj. And so I would bring in like
Gojj. No, I'm just
I'll defend myself to the day I die here shortly.
there it is.
Yeah. So I would probably bring in the top 5, 2 or 3 of the top 5, and have them rank everybody else at the time. And then obviously they can't rank themselves, so that would be the floater judge's part to rank that individual person so far. So what do y'all think about that? This is a discussion, chat. I don't care if you guys agree or disagree with this list. I don't care, really. I love you guys, I really do. But this is not just my opinion. This is 5 people's opinions. Actually 6 if you include Gojj, and people that actually play against these guys every single day. So
that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. So boys, talk to me. What do y'all think?
The only thing I would say is probably once a month is probably too frequent for how fast and how many tournaments there'll be until we actually know.
From an Activision, I was going to say the exact same thing. From an Activision based standpoint, they're going to run a pro. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Sometimes people think I know a ton about tournaments. I don't necessarily, but sometimes they'll throw a ton at the beginning and a ton towards like closer into World Series of Warzone, but there's going to be a ton of dead periods. So you can kind of either do it on a very specific frequent basis of once a month, or we could try to separate it and do every 2 months or 3 months or something like that. Your call on that. I like what you've done. I think if you think of power rankings in general from like across other, other sports or esports or whatever, oftentimes it doesn't include players, which I think is the public outcry about that. I totally agree that the players have some of the best ideas of who's actually good, but also if these rankings are based on their tournament performance, you don't necessarily need those players' POVs to really have an understanding of how these players, like how good these players are, right?
Sure.
And I think that's one other thing that would help, and maybe it's worth doing here, is very clearly, again, stepping through what are actually the criteria. Because the big example of that is Hisoka. There's no question Hisoka was the best player on Al Mazrah, period. Earnings show that. Obviously, Skullface ahead of that by 10K, but he won 100K in the last tourney. Like, Hisoka was the best by a sizable margin. But if these are power rankings that change, at the end of Al Mazrah, on paper, I chose Shifty over him, right? You know what I mean? Like, because they are flowing and changing. Not of all time. That's not what this is. This is floating power rankings at any given time.
Yeah, present.
Also, to add to that, is I think that like there's two different things we could do, is where we do the full player one maybe once per season, but then maybe even we have a separate one for teams.
Yeah, we definitely can do
rank
that.
Teams, because then you can power through those a little bit quicker. And maybe there's like 30 teams, 40 teams.
My concern with teams,
of a Rust.
my concern with teams is invites, and they will be different every single tournament besides 10, probably. So
look, I want to throw out something that a lot of the chat is discussing, and I again, people are gonna say bias no matter what the fuck I say, but like truly, but like. It's the same way, like, no one cares if you fucking won all these tournaments in the regular season, right? Did you win the fucking the Super Bowl, right? Like that should be weighed super heavily, right? And again, I'll say the same thing. And let's say Diaz, Shifty, and Sage are winning everything the first 3 months of Warzone, and then they start getting shit on in World Series of Warzone when it comes out. Like, I'm sorry, bro, but like y'all fell off. Like I kept it a buck. Like I kept it a $150 with them at the start of when they were playing together. I was like, you guys are dog shit. I'm sorry, I can't even put y'all in S tier, but they rose to the occasion and became undeniably the best squad, obviously, right? So, like, for this, people need to understand that World Series of Warzone is weighed so heavily, like that going forward. That's the way it should be, right? And again, another thing Braxton said, which I agree with 100%. Ranking or earned should never, ever play a big of a factor into the power rankings, because like, again, this is no diss to Skullface, but he won 100K off one game. One game, right? Like, that's one game. Again, he had to have skill to do that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, just because he has more earnings than Soka doesn't mean that he should be ranked higher than him. Does that make sense? So
yeah, the competitiveness of a tournament is something that we'll definitely like base it off of too. Because even like the World Classic 2v2 that Soka and Jace won, I believe, competition there wasn't crazy. I mean, obviously Diaz was with Sage, but there was only so few teams that were like really powerhouses. So I guess, yeah, that's also something to consider in these rankings, is like, okay, they won that tournament. Yes. How competitive was it?
Yeah.
You know? So.
Exactly. So again, which is a big reason of why I'm not, at least for my list, remember guys, this is our list. I will not be including any Twitter tournaments. Only time they will be applied to this is any Activision funded tournaments or approved tournaments. And obviously this goes without saying, but if there's like a hide and seek one, that shit don't matter, right? Like, just throwing it out there. So, okay. Are you guys okay? Go ahead, Gojj, go ahead.
Also, to be very clear, is this only Urzik Stan? Or is this generally, like, is this only the new map? Or
it's present. So this is what we have now, and this is going to move forward, and we don't look at Al Mazrah again. We don't talk about Al Mazrah again. Yeah. This is moving forward. So once we do it every 1 or 2 months, that 2 months, it's over. We don't look at the past again. We move forward.
Yeah,
perfect.
Exactly.
Okay. Just making it clear for everybody, because then people were talking about like Vondel experience and all that stuff too.
But like my favorite streamer won that like Twitch Rivals back in Verdansk.
Are we doing only just generally best players in general in Warzone going forward, or is it the best players on the big map?
Boys, this is the great thing about this, right? Is right now it started off as an idea, right? Like, I'm working on the back end to make like trading cards and like things like that. Like, I'm gonna say this right now, Shifty and Adrian, expect a Pullze Check. It's not a trophy, a Pullze Check, thing to signify you guys and your performance in 2023. We're just starting, right? So right now, sure, this is the top whatever Warzone players in the game at the moment, right? Like, but we can do another one of these, like, on Resurgence. We can do another one of these on Al Mazrah. We can break it up. Like, the possibilities,
split them up for sure.
The possibilities are endless, right? So that this, as far as this specific one that we're looking at, it's the rankings right now overall, right? So that is this, and that is judged by people who like their jobs is to do this, and players themselves. So I guess my question to everybody is that a good baseline to go off of? Because I think that is the most consistent and makes it to where who gives a fuck who your favorite streamer is. I don't care if you're somebody averages 1 viewer, they could be number 1 if everybody sees of how good they are. Are we all? You think that's a good way? Have four main judges, which I would like to be us 4. Then have 2 to 3 out of the top 5 give their opinions, and then for the 2 to 3 players that are going to be giving their opinions, they cannot rank themselves. So we will have what we call a floating judge. That floating judge would rank those 3 people that come in and give their opinion, and would break tiebreakers if there's any tiebreakers amongst them. What do y'all think about that?
I like it. And then floating judge will just be dependent on who we ask at whatever given moment, right?
Yeah. It just depends on who's there. JGOD, Ebatez, talk to me.
Yeah, no, it sounds great to me.
You guys think that's a good kind of baseline to go off of?
Yep.
Okay. All right, chat. That's kind of the way we're gonna be going about doing things. So again, right here, like Diaz didn't rank himself a 94. That was Gojj that ranked him a 94. Shifty didn't rank himself a 96. Gojj ranked him that, and then Ebatez, Ebatez is. I didn't mean it like that, Ebatez. I feel bad.
Crazy.
I feel
insane,
bad.
bro.
I feel bad.
No, we get it, bro. We get it. We get it, bro.
Fuck.
No, we get it, bro.
No, bro, don't worry, bro. Diaz put me at like fucking over here, bro. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry.
Bro, Smith was crutching me all year, bro. Like, whatever, bro. Like, guy literally like brought me down all year. Like,
oh shit. All right, so that's kind of how we're gonna go about doing things. Okay, boys. Honestly, we did the rankings. Shifty number 1, DS 2. I'm gonna go over the top 10. I mean, I'll go through everything so everybody who missed that podcast, we can see it. But ultimately, Shifty, in my opinion, undeniable. There's the Diaz Glazers, the Soka Glazers can say whatever they want. Like, Shifty proved he is the fucking best. I don't
100%.
I don't think that's up for debate.
100%.
Shifty, Diaz, Soka, our top 3. That is our top 3 of the power rankings. And then Sage 4, Skullface 5, Mayapu 6, 7 is Alman, Adrian is 8, 9 Breadman, 10 Tommy, and then before I'll just let you guys kind of go down. I'll go down the list slowly if y'all want to clip it and kind of see where your streamer, right? And again, this is not a popularity contest, chat. This is a true skill ranking at the end of Warzone 2. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of people here that are going to be fucking moving up because a lot of people just didn't have passion. They didn't have passion. It is what it is. So this is the and again, I've added everybody. Guys, people are like, why isn't my streamer here? Why isn't this person here? It's because they didn't want their name to be on here. I've told so many people, yo, message me so I can put your name on there. We got a couple people and we put them on there. There's a couple people who I didn't put because they hadn't played that many tournaments. But again, if there is somebody or anybody that we accidentally skipped over, please let me know. Okay. So this is kind of.
Oh, so we took a bunch of people off then too.
I don't believe we did. Took off?
I felt like we had more than 50.
Yeah. We took off like 3 people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this was the power rankings at the end of the year. And again, guys, I'm sorry if your favorite, streamer is low, or if streamers that you hate is high. I'm sorry. I apologize, but it's just where the actual players that play against these guys put them. Rick Diaz is number 1. I'm sorry, bro. I never thought I would say this, but Shifty is better than Diaz at the moment. And so, yeah, man, this is boys. Is there anybody you guys would like to change? I'm gonna say this right now. I think there's one person on this list that we're to finalize this list that should be changed. I'm gonna say, but that's with that one event, 2 events that we had since we last had the podcast. And fight me, I don't care. JGOD, is there anybody you want to list? I can say mine right now.
I don't think so. I feel like none of mine were like changed. I know we didn't have Wars on there. I think that was the main one.
Yeah, Wars was definitely a big miss. I feel like that we should have on.
But besides that, I feel like
my
Wars
list
didn't really change much because, again, there wasn't any big tournaments after Warzone, especially if we're talking about non-Twitter tourneys.
So, I mean, look, I'm going to say this right now. And one person that I knew going in with how crazy, like, we're at, how crazy they went, noobs, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, I agree.
Noobs, in my opinion, it's funny because we're going to get into this.
I had him as the highest, so didn't I? On my list? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. Noobs, in my opinion, is better than Tommy at the moment. Now, where that, like, does that mean, like, that's what I would do, right? What is y'all's opinion? I think he was the best of his trio, I think, in my opinion. So where does that kind of place him in this list, boys? Because if anybody deserves to move up, it's Noobs. And in case y'all forgot, bro, that man was literally Himothy that last tournament, and quite literally nobody could touch him. He literally outfragged everybody by a mile. Boys, talk to me.
I got a couple thoughts. One, again, everybody's going to freak out this entire time because this is a floating list. You're not saying Noobs is better than Tommy for the last 3 years. Tommy is the undisputed GOAT of Warzone, period, in terms of earnings. That's why earnings, I keep track of them. Like, that's why earnings does not dictate this list. It is current, right? And at World Series of Warzone, he was nuts. In the last couple tournaments, he's been nuts. I think Noobs 100% moves up. No questions asked. I think he probably moves all the way up. Recency biased, of course, that's what the whole point of this. I think he probably moves up above Tommy for sure, at the very least to 10. Now, a couple notes there. Tom just hasn't been able to play a ton, to be honest. He hasn't been, just time in, raw time in is going to be different, whether it's passion, life, things going on, whatever. That's going to move this list down. That's just how it is. And it doesn't mean that person's bad at the game.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think, right? I guess it's not a question, at least Ebatez, JGOD, stop me if I'm wrong. It's not a debate whether Noobs moves up. It's more of how much, right?
Yeah.
Does that one tournament, I think it was 2 tournaments actually, of him performing literally that man was Pope. Where does that put him? How much do you weigh those specific tournaments, right? How far do we move him up?
It is a hard question to ask, but I feel like you have to change our individual rankings. So for me right now, I have him at an 89. You'd have to put him if you're like, hey, what do you think he is, at this moment? I'd probably say a 92, 93 is probably fair.
No, that's actually
one of those
perfect.
things. You could change my individual ranking, and I guess you could just go through everybody or whatever, and we could figure it out that way. Like, hey, do you want to change your ranking for that?
Yeah.
And this will move him up and down.
You can put him 93 with mine, and then that'll move it because. I think right now, it does put him ahead of Tommy.
This way we can look at it and be like, hey, what do I think? You know what I mean? It's like we can look at it and be like, okay, do I think I'm low? Do I'm high?
I guess here it is kind of
he was top 4. He was top 4 fragger at World Series of Warzone too.
Which again, insane, right? Like he's on par with Skull Mayapu, in my opinion. Like he's at that level right now, in my opinion. So if I was to move him anywhere, right, I would put him above Almond because I think at currently, maybe even the year, right? Like he was the best player in his team.
I think the reason he was so low is because we had to for these beginnings of these rankings, we had to accumulate the entire year because we obviously didn't do this all year. So which is why these will probably change very quickly because the player that he was at the beginning of the year wasn't the player at the end of the year. But we had to consider the entire year in order to get a basis of what we have for our current rankings. So we will see these change pretty quickly, especially going to the new map. So I don't see anything wrong with especially going from an 89 to a 93 or whatever right now. I think that's totally normal, especially because we're considering a recent of what we got.
Just so y'all know, I mean, I think I'm pretty fine with this. With just us 3 changing our rankings, not even Gojj included, right? He already is sitting at 7th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, this is kind of going to be one of those growing pains. It is what do we do with Diaz and Shifty, right? Does Gojj just count for 2? Does Gojj just count for 1, right? Where do we put him there? But I think at the very least, I think 7th is where he deserves to be, in my opinion. What are y'all's thoughts on that, boys?
I like that a lot.
Yeah, Gojj?
Yeah, I like it. I think that's a fair assessment for his recent tournament experience and what he's able to do in general in the game.
Okay. And so, okay, I don't know Excel, right? Boys, how do I
right click column H and do sort?
Right click A?
H.
Oh, H?
Like where the final numbers are.
And then
no. H. Row H. Yep.
And
Like
then
yeah, there you go. And then go to sort. You're gonna have to sort the column.
Am I blind? Am I blind?
You need to right click on the H. You need to right click on the H, I think.
Oh. Sort sheet.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Yeah.
A to Z?
It should be I think it's just try it. I think it's
Z to A because it's from high to low.
Yeah.
I can't see it on the stream, so I can't help you.
Okay. There it is. Okay. So I think this, as of this year, what's up?
No, that didn't do it right.
Oh,
no, it did. Never mind.
No,
it
it did.
Never
We're good.
mind.
We're good. Now we're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Fucking A. So just to clarify, this is the finalized for this year. Warzone 2. This is ours. Again, guys, this is just us like having fun. This is not official power rankings, right? Like, who cares what 7 people think at the end of the day, right? But this next year we'll be adding more people. Tomsterbaum, 100%. The goal here, chat, is not only for us but for the whole entire community, is we can bring as many people onto this list, so that way there's a lot of people that NA don't know a lot about. EU players, like, you know, there's a lot of people that are unknown. The goal for here is to bring awareness to people and be like, yo, let's say Tomsterbaum, for example, he's at fucking 10. Who is this guy, right? Like, and people who don't know him can go and see, and now it's like, oh shit, right? So that's the goal with all this, man. This will be the finalized Warzone 2 rankings. You know, if we want to put out a tweet, JD, we can. But I think, in my opinion,
I think we should put out a tweet. Sorry, to cut you off. Of like players that aren't on here that feel like they should be on the list. Because like I said, I think you said that you reached out to a lot of people. But if there are players that are out there that don't think they're on the list, and they're like, yo, why am I not on this list? Just either reach out to Hector or whoever, or tweet at Pullze Check. Just like, yo, can I get on the list? And then also, we're not just gonna put anybody on the list too. Like, you know, it's obviously gonna be like a group vote. Like, hey, does this player are they a competitive player? Should they be on the list? You know what I mean? We're not just gonna throw anybody on the list. Yeah.
I mean, Dope Killer, again, Braxton said this too. There can't be any bias in this list if there's like 7 people ranking. You know, that's just the way things go. Okay, so this is the final top whatever 40 something. But boys, now let's get into the last part of the show today. And all right, roster mania. Ebatez, I'm gonna give you the honors, Pops, of leading the segment today.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I love that.
So talk to me, man, on roster mania. What have you heard? What do we know as of right now? Where's your head at, Shifty?
It's funny because me and you talked about this a little bit. We were like, yo, we got to do a podcast before the new Warzone drops. Like, let's do like a roster stuff. And then you're like, yeah, like, dude, for sure. And then like the longer we waited, it feels like more and more info just came out, which is great. Yep. We didn't rush it. We like kind of waited, and just now it feels like the perfect time. Today we have some crazy announcements. I think we'll start with the Bread, Joe, and Skullface one.
Wait, actually, can we start on another one? Because I would.
Okay.
I would really like to start on TBE. I feel like
that one's crazy.
Look, bro.
We can start with TBE because TBE, Tommy tweeted, I think,
by the way,
a week ago or two.
Side note, 2 seconds. Diaz, Shifty, or anybody really like that I trust. If you guys want to hop in Discord and give your opinions too on these rosters, Sage, if y'all want to come into Discord, you guys can. I found a way where if you guys join, it won't fuck this up. So if you guys want to, feel free. This is a discussion. I don't know where Shifty's at. This man, he's right there. This man was cool.
And initially, what I was going to say is when I did see that tweet, I almost thought they were memeing again.
I quote tweeted it, and I said, if this isn't farming impressions, this is the biggest news we've probably ever had from a team standpoint. Like, you talk about raw. We go back to the history of those 3 players and how long they've been playing together. I get
the most winningest trio.
Easily. Most winningest trio out there ever, period. in general and longest standing trio of all time, no questions asked. Like, I went on this long monologue about them during World Series of Warzone, and to see that not be the case anymore, there is no more, zero long standing trios left in the game. Not a single
There's probably one that I can't even think of one.
Unless they're terrible. I mean, like, honestly, like, in terms of any sort of competitive, I'm talking in general, there is not a single trio left from the OG days. And that trio was the last one. They were the stalwarts. They were the old guard. They were that trio to beat. They had the most chemistry. We always talked about it on broadcasts of they just had the raw time in to be better than everyone else. And for whatever reason, I don't know what happened at the end of the day. I think we have some info on it, but like, they aren't playing together anymore, and you know, they didn't have a great World Series of Warzone performance. They didn't have a bad one necessarily, but not a good one.
They got third. They got third.
Yeah, right.
They had one bad game in the beginning that chalked it.
Their first game was what, a 0-point game?
That's right. And that's what's wild about it is it's so funny because I think of that as a mediocre performance for them. Like, I just was like, oh, they did all right, and then they got third at the end of the day. Like, that's insane. And I'm sure it's life stuff. I'm sure it's, you know, just generally putting time in or whatever. But it really is a big deal. And if you don't understand that, it's because you haven't maybe been around since the very beginning. But it is huge. Unbelievable.
Listen, I might go on a little rant here, man. But I mean, look, bro. So let me read this tweet for everybody, right? Tommy said, sadly, Ben and Eddie have decided to go their own ways or together, not too sure, which we know now, for the next chapter of Warzone. Oh shit, Shifty's here. Wait, hold on, let me read this tweet. So, no hard feelings, and I wish them both nothing but the best. That leaves me looking for a new squad and duo. If you want to run it, let me know. So I want to add to this, and this is something I remember reading this. Somebody pretty saying like, oh, you owe the fans an explanation. Why does this happen? And Tommy said, there's no explanation from me, mate. I'm the one who is left in the dark. So, I mean, damn, there's a lot to kind of dissect here. And it's like, so from what we know, right, from what these tweets are telling us, is they just kind of parted ways. I saw this one. This tweet.
Well, it kind of feels similar to the whole Huskers thing with Scummin and Unrational kind of dropping him last minute. Well, this isn't last minute, but you know what I mean? Like, they just dipped, and then he's like, oh shit, I thought I was gonna be teaming with them. Like,
well, first of all, this is like crazy, like just to see how many like people actually care. Like, this tweet that Tom put out has like over 700,000 views. Like, wow, just to goes to show, like, that was probably getting DM'd everywhere. People were probably freaking out, like, what is going on? I do know that TBE struggled in the middle of the year. And I do know that there was like, you know, a potential like rumor of like a split. I know that those conversations were happening. They obviously stuck it out. So I wonder if this is also like just a result of like, hey, like, we stuck it out, we got third, it ran its course, it is what it is. But I don't think this was like, hey, like just a one moment, like, we're done. I think there was like an over the time where the middle of the year of Warzone 2, they weren't playing great. And there was already conversations of a split. They stuck it out and they were like, okay, end of the year, let's just change it up. So
look. This shit just don't make sense to me, bro. Okay, like, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like I'm sorry, and again, my job is to be objective here and try to be as non-biased. But bro, the team that they formed is not better than TBE, bro. Like fucking.
What's the team they formed?
Alman.
We didn't.
Alman, Soka, and Rated, right? Or unless something's changed.
That's a disgusting team too.
But that's not better than TBE, bro.
I thought it was Soka, Ben, and
Noobs.
Yeah,
Soka,
so
Ben, and Noobs.
they just dropped Tommy for Soka.
Who did you say?
Wait, when did this?
That's what Chat
Wait,
was
when
saying.
did this happen?
That's what Chat was saying. Yeah.
Hector, I literally texted you.
Yeah, that was the
No,
troll
okay. By the way, that like
No.
that. Okay, thank God. Okay, so Soka. So now, so it just happened today.
Yes, Soka Ben is Soka Ben and Noobs.
But Chad, listen, I have a trailer, I have a whole Warzone documentary I was figuring out, and a whole revamp, all right? I've been MIA all fucking day today. All fucking day.
I thought this was my show.
Go ahead, my bad.
I'm just playing. No, the tweet between Rated, Ben, and Noobs, we all knew that wasn't happening. I mean, Rated put out a tweet, and everybody was like, cap, like, this isn't happening. So, like, we all knew that wasn't going to happen, and also this tweet was after the Rated thing. I think This is after Rated tweet. Like Rated tweet was weeks ago. Like I think we all knew that Rated thing wasn't happening.
I thought it was a troll the whole time. Like,
No,
but then
the Rated
I was
thing
like, yo.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there were some conversations. Maybe Rated thought it was serious because he did DM me and was like, no, like it's happening. And like I was like, dude, I don't see this happening. But I figured that team wasn't happening. But yeah, the new team is Soka, Ben, and Noobs. So instead of Tom, they got Soka.
Yeah, that's a super gross team.
In my
too,
opinion,
as well.
it's hard to say. I think that's. I mean, you know, no disrespect to Tom again, like, but like Soka's arguably one of the best players right now. You know, probably in the at least top 5 conversation, top 3 conversation, and that team maybe doesn't get better right away, but over time, there's a lot more potential there. You know what I mean?
That's
So-
It's so weird. It's such a weird combo.
Yeah, go ahead, Shifty. Talk to me. Talk to me.
Listen, I think Soka downgraded, and I think Ben and Eddie upgraded. So it's weird for me to see. I think my thing about TBE was their chemistry was what put them above everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? Because like Tommy wasn't like dropping 20s, and I thought like Eddie was
This is
like
Shifty
the
chat.
silent killer. You know, like I didn't think of Eddie as like a main fragger until like you start seeing the numbers that he puts up, and then like Ben kind of held it all together. But like I really think the chemistry was what like their strong suit was. So I think that team won't be that good in the beginning. Like I think that they're still a top 3, top 5 team, like off the rip. Like I don't think that team is below top 10. But I don't know how you fill up with that gap from like the 3 years of them playing with like Soka coming in.
It's
And
gonna
like
take some adjustment for sure.
it's like the gel that they had is what I was afraid of TB the most when I would play them. Is like that team
Yeah.
is just not gonna fold, and they always have that comeback potential, and they did in World Series. Like that's a team you never count out, even if they're 50th, right?
I don't know. Maybe has he duoed or wagered or any of that with them as teammates before?
Well, I know
Either?
Soka's played with a lot with Ben, like ranked stuff like that, but ranked is not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the same, but there are
it's
like
not- but
elements
yeah, they
where you could
definitely know each
see
other. They're all cool with
like,
each other.
hey, that it would be kind of sick to actually play with you for reals, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think they scapegoated Tommy, to be honest. I think Tommy had a lot of like visa issues. Where, like,
Yeah, he had a lot of
I even
internal
played
issues.
with Tommy in a couple tournaments, and he's on like I don't even know what type of mic it was. It sounded like horrible, and he's like he's in like a LAN center cafe. Like he had a lot of issues, so I think like that would probably led to frustration, like with their placements, and then they kind of just looked like if you're Ben and Eddie and you get the opportunity to get Soka, like you probably should. But I'm surprised that Mayapo, Skull, and Soka didn't stick.
I am too.
That's what I'm more surprised about.
Dude,
I will say.
But second, bro,
I know.
it just-
I know.
downgrade
Gojj, go
for
ahead.
Soka.
I know
Both
Gojj
of this shit just doesn't make sense. Like I get it. Like I get it, bro. Like TBE. It's just like, bro. Maybe I don't know their issues. I don't know what's going on.
Because I've heard Mayapo might retire.
I heard he's not retiring.
I'll get into it.
I
later.
heard he's not retiring.
Listen, Gojj has something to say. Can we let
Yeah,
Gojj
Gojj
go?
definitely has something to say.
Go ahead, go ahead.
It's very simple. It's very simple. And I think what Shifty said is very, very key. Noobs is in the chat. Look, when you play against TBE, you know, you said it, like, you'll never know if they're going to come back, right? Because they drop crazy games and whatever. When you watch TBE, I've casted over hundreds upon hundreds of hours of their gameplay. When you watch them, especially pre-caster mode, you hear the comms. They are almost non-existent. They don't talk, dude. They literally read each other's brains. They've played so much Warzone together.
Yeah.
Like the chemistry was quite literally not even close to matched by anybody, which is why they were so successful for a long time. And they're all individually skilled. But as a team, they knew exactly what they were going to do. And it was almost like a perfect, they're busting out the daggum, you know, tape measurers. They are all perfectly distanced every single time. They're separating in buildings in a POI to be able to cover each other's corners, to cover each other's flanks. They know how far away they need to be, how long it takes to get to each other without even thinking. And it's all subconscious, is all time in. Any trio with that amount of time in can get really, really good. They just all happen to be very individually skilled as well. So what Shifty said was so key. If you throw Hisoka, who on paper is in general from top to bottom the best Al Mazrah player, but in terms of maybe more recently, you put Shifty above him, you know, winning tournaments constantly, always finds a way to win. Putting him in with that duo, I think, is a good team. It is going to take them a while, man. Hisoka and Tommy are not similar at all. I don't think they have the same play style. I don't think they have the same comms. I don't think they have the same energy. It's a totally different trio now. And the question is, where does that take the other two players? Where does that take Almond and where does that take Noobs in particular? Because I think Hisoka could win with anybody. It's just a matter of how long is he going to spend with that duo. Noobs has been probably the most underrated player for the last 3 years because he has sat almost sort of in a shadow behind Almond and Tommy, because Almond and Tommy started together and then Noobs was the third that brought the chemistry together for trios. But whenever it went to duos, who was playing together? It was Almond and Tommy, right? And Noobs went to go play with Huskers or whatever late for dancing Caldera. Like when it was a duo, it was those two. So when you take Tommy out of the equation and you let Noobs shine a little bit more, I think that trio has potential to go the distance and be as good as TBE was, if not better. But how long will it take is the only question in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, look, bro,
They were the most instinct team.
look, dude, TBE, let's just, had a quote unquote bad year. But I feel like, dude,
if you top 10 in earnings,
bro, I don't think they had a bad year though. Like, see that this is where I'm kind of okay. Stage 1, what did they get? TBE.
I think they won.
I can go
no,
back and look.
8-1. They got like top 3.
They got second. They got second, and then they got first. They got second and the first. They switched.
Yeah. And stage 1, stage 2, right?
Third.
Stage 1 they got second. Stage 2 they got first.
And then they won. I mean, they got third in World Series Warzone. It's like, bro, like, listen, I love these guys, and I'm gonna be very try to be as objective as possible, bro. But there's no fucking replacement for team chemistry, dog. Like, and that's that, bro. Like, again, maybe there's some internal issues with that team, and I understand, right? If that's the case. But if we're talking about strictly skill, like, Tommy didn't even get to put in that much time this year. Like, there was a lot of other things outside of the game that had to factor in, and like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
but like,
this is no question on Tommy's skill. Like, I think that's like where like I kind of want to like reel it back in. Like, this isn't like a totally like bash Tommy. Like, we're not picking who. It's not like, oh, this is Tommy's fault. This is Ben and Noobs' fault. Like, it's nobody's fault. But like I said, I think it stems back to middle of the year where they're just going through some stuff. And I think all of them were on different pages and all of them were like stressed out, like what's going on. And then they did pick it up and everyone kind of got their shit together at the end of the year. But I feel like this all stems from like, I don't want to go through what I had to go through 6 months ago ever again. And I'm sure that Tommy and Ben and Noobs had that conversation. They're like, yo, like Soka wants to play with us. Let's go do that.
And
it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. I think they're all just like, I don't know.
Did y'all see what Sage said?
Yeah, I did. I have no context on that. So if anybody wants to speak on that, we can.
Wait,
Sage,
Sage is trying to start the pod. That's
are you
crazy.
talking about this team, Sage? Just out of curiosity? Pretty much, she said if that team knew what was said between walls, they wouldn't form. I'm assuming.
What team?
I'm assuming he's talking about.
I think in general, right?
I don't know. I don't know who he's talking about.
Well, while we figure that out, I had 2 more things that came up in this conversation. I saw a lot of people. A shout out to Clipper Rob also asking this, like, who's the IGL? When you think about TBE, though, you even asked TBE. I think we've asked them. Like, obviously, people think Tom's the IGL, and I think to some degree that was the case. It's all shared. In most teams, especially at the high, like once you play together long enough, your IGL role begins to fade to the background unless it becomes down a crisis mode. Everybody's yelling. You have to listen to one voice.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's something that the guy in this call figured out, right? But that team didn't really end up with an IGL. They all made calls. They all trusted each other because they played together for so long. With this new team, are they going to be able to get that level of trust that quickly? Like, are they going to be able to say, okay, we listen to Ahsoka no matter what, even though Almond and Noobs are some of the best players in the game as well? Like, that's something that caused issues with the team, with Shifty's team, right? Of like, who do we go with? Where do we go? Who's leading the charge? I don't think they're going to have as much issue with that because they're used to sharing comms, but Ahsoka's not used to sharing comms.
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak on that. I played with Ahsoka. Ahsoka has to be IGL or else the roster doesn't work.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. So it has to be Soka picking up the charge.
I with Soka, but for the most part, I was the end game caller. So once we got into the hectic zones, that's when I would speak up more. For the most part, like the rotations, getting to end game was all Soka.
Yeah,
like that's what worked best because like my comms in terms of like thinking early game was not as best as it was in the end game moving zones, where to get to a position like when shit's going down. So we knew that early on, and we like pointed that out, and we had set roles at set times. I just don't know how that. I feel like Soka didn't get a better team, but to me it only comes down if Miapo is not playing anymore. Then I understand.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, go ahead. Ebatez.
Hisoka should go to duo.
we could finish talking about this trio or like whatever, the whole Tommy situation. I guess we could let's stay on the topic of Tommy and then, Ben and Eddie's new trio. Like, so now Tom is looking for 2. I don't know exactly who he's pairing up with. So that's something I guess we have to wait for. I'm not too sure when he's going to announce that or when he's going to figure it out. We could go into later, I guess, free agents and kind of circle back on this of like who Tom we could see playing with Tom. But I do think the Ben Hisoka Noobs team is good. I think it's about as good as Ben and Noobs could have done as far as getting a new teammate, but it's going to take time for them to be successful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think early on, between Verdansk and Al-Mazrah, I think before Hisoka was like titled like the number, I think Ben was arguably one of the best.
Oh.
Maybe I'm misremembering,
No,
but
that's right.
I felt like
That's
he was one of the best. Like he's the guy. And then like Noobs, when it comes to Noobs, he's like never not been like outside the top 3 in World Series of Warzone, regardless of teammate. I think he played with Huskers twice. They won, and then they got in 3rd in this, and then like he is the fragger. So it's like on paper, without the team chemistry dynamics, they should be like a top 2 or 3 team. Like hands down. Like
Which
it's disgusting.
Which they already were.
Yeah. So
They were
like,
both. They were top 3, and that's like, like obviously, yes, that like Soka's team last year was always like a contender, right? But like I was always like, yo, the people who I never counted out ever was TVE.
Ever. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sad. Maybe this is just me being sentimental, but I really am sad to see this team split up, man.
No, it's a tough loss for Warzone competitive, and I even commented on Tommy's post, like, all good things must come to an end, kind of thing. It's like it sucks. Like we have to move forward, and we'll see where Tom ends up. Now we know where Ben and Ed are. So it's an interesting dynamic, and honestly, this is what started a lot of roster changes, which we could go into next. Skull and Myapo are now, not with Soka, so we could start with Skull, I guess.
Yeah,
who just landed on Joe and Brett's team today, which is absolutely insane. I know Limax did move back to Australia, which again sucks. Like I actually feel for him because like that's just stuff that's out of your control. Like it's so out of your control. He just had a really good year, came to Canada, really proved himself. Like I think Sage played tournaments with him early Warzone 2 and like kind of put him on the map a little bit of like, yo, this kid's actually really good. So I feel for him like heavy because he's freaking talented, and it sucks that like this is how it ends. Like he had a really good year, and it's not like Joe and Brett wanted to drop him. It was just like, hey, you're in Australia now. You're gonna be on like 220 ping. Like we have to do what we got to do,
Yeah.
And it's like
it sounds like they knew about it for a while too. The logistics when I've seen them talk on stream or whatever, that was inevitable.
Yeah, and so I'm sure there's no hard feelings there. And I know that Joe even said on stream today that he was like, yo, this is the number one person. Like before he announced like the trio, obviously like I knew who it was before, but he was like, this is the number one person I wanted to get, if we had to move on from Limax. So they got Skull, which is a huge pickup.
That's a good squad, bro. Like
great squad.
Yeah, Gojj, what's your thoughts on that squad, man?
I've got a couple. I think a main one is a great squad. I think the replacement is at least 1 for 1. I think his Skullface's prowess in customs is apparent. So from a trio standpoint, this makes the most sense by far. I put Skullface in that category of somebody that could probably play with anybody at any time and make a difference. So overall, a win. I think the question has not always been, because Skullface puts time in when it comes to the grind, right? Beginning of the year grind, all that stuff. The question is he able to put the time in with the tournament grind? And if he is, and he plays in every single tournament that Joe plays in, and they put in the entire year of effort playing with him, I think that this is one of the best trios out there.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of if, because you see Hisoka, Skullface, dominate, but then after whatever that was, I don't even remember what it was, CDLR or something. I don't even know. CDL, I don't know what tournament it was. They dominated, and then they come back, and Skullface doesn't play for a couple months. He takes that big break, and, Hisoka's winning all this stuff, and then Skullface comes back, and they do great. And then, of course, he wins the solo YOLO. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of if he's able to put the time in that the rest of the highest level competitors are, they're a top 5 trio, no questions asked, and potentially up there for the medals. But I think that this trio bodes the question I wanted to pose for pretty much every trio we talk about is, are you playing for the win or are you playing for money? Because this is these people's jobs. Now, Joe is an exception. Yeah, Joe is an exception, and many of our competitors are an exception where they actually make a ton of content and they make probably a sizable amount of money on streams and all of that stuff. But not everybody. Like a lot of our competitors, especially competitors at the top, don't have thriving streams yet, maybe, right? And they're going to build up their content. They're not making a ton of money off of YouTube revenue. So they've got to make money by winning tournaments.
Yeah.
And there's two ways to do that. One, you got to be in the money every single tournament. Two, because a consistent paycheck. Two, you got to get an invite to every single tournament, which requires a whole nother calculation on who you're playing with. This, I think this is a win-win for Skullface, no questions asked. Yeah. And I think it's at least a 1-for-1 trade for the side of Joe and Bread, because Skull's going to get an invite probably to every single tournament through Joe, if not directly himself, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, that team is nasty, bro. I'm not like, I was really curious. I actually had this conversation on stream the other day. I was like, yo, like who exactly can Joe and them get? And I was like, yo, they need a slayer. Like, obviously that's not to say that Joe and Bread can't slay, but Bread shines when he's IGLing, and his IQ is what separates him from everybody. Obviously he can slay too. That's not what I'm saying. And I've always seen Joe as a role player. Joe he's that sage. He's in the mix. He's the one in the door. He's baiting for his teammates. Like, he's that getting dirty player. So what they needed somebody is like, yo, somebody that can just slay. Like literally that is incredibly good and can put numbers up. Yep. And I there's been times, right? Like he might have not been the slayer on Soka's team, right? But put him on any other roster and he's top fragger. Right, like let's be honest.
Frag World Series for his team. Actually,
I was gonna say, and he's been showing that, like, yo, I'm not just a role player. I'm not just you sometimes have to remember how good Skullface is. Like, yeah, sure. Same thing. I say this about Sage too. It's like Sage being on a team with Shifty and D. Some people are like, oh, Sage isn't as good as him. But I'm like, brother, like quite literally any other roster, Sage is top fragging every single roster that he plays on. Right? Like it's the mix and it's the chemistry whenever you get into a trio, right? So with him going into what's his name's team, I think that's great fucking squad. Great fucking squad.
I think the biggest thing what Joe and Brett needed was someone that actually fits their playstyle. And like I've played with Skull, and also Skull's played with them before in Verdansk, late Verdansk, and they did really well together. Yep. And I think Skull fits like that play style. Like I hated it because I feel like I want Skull to play a little faster on our team. But then you put him in like a Breadman Joe, or Skull likes to snipe. He likes to play slow. Like you're gonna have like three minded people on the same team. I think like it'll play really good. So I think Skull's gonna be on.
Yeah, even as Joe said, he was like, "Yo, this is like literally the number one choice for him."
That's like the only person I could see that fits, that actually completes their roster. The play style, what he brings to the table, like. Skull is unbelievable.
He's very good. I know Soka's gonna miss him. Like I know Soka's gonna miss him.
One of those guys that like you will feel his loss on. Like when he leaves a team, you'll see it. Like you know the impact he makes on a roster. And
I will also say Noobs and Skull have very similar playstyles too. They're very similar players. Yeah. So again, if Soka can kind of bring that to Noobs or whatever, and that's how they kind of connect the dots, it's like, yo, hey, this is what Skull did for me. Like, do you think like Noobs will adapt? Like he'll do whatever he's got to do. So. Like I said, curious to see how this all plays out, but seems like two very, very crazy squads. Two very, very good squads.
And I think I want to clarify, like not grinding tourneys. The dude's been grinding tourneys. He's been playing tourneys since Verdansk. He won almost $50,000 in Verdansk. Like it's not like he hasn't been playing a lot. It's just a matter of time in. Like it's always been that. And with a new team, you've got to put a ton of time in.
Yeah. Oh, are we talking about Skull?
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, I want to make it clear. He took a vacation to Europe because customs weren't out and the game was literally dead. I literally told him, I was like, yo, you should. I was like, you should go. Yeah, he hated 2v2, so I was like, bro, you should go to Europe because his college buddies were going. So that's the only reason he went to Europe. It wasn't like, yo, this game sucks, I'm quitting. Like, I'm out. Like, I'm going to go vacay. Yeah. I already told him, I was like, you should go take a vacation. Like,
I think that's fair. And it was fine, obviously.
Yeah.
So, okay. So go ahead, Ebatez. Who else? Tell me more.
We can finish the Soka trio. What I've heard, and again, if Sage wants to correct me or whatever, what I've heard is that Mayappa really wants to play with Otter Eyes again. It's their cousins, and they're like, "Hey, we want to win."
That makes sense.
That was the sentiment last year, but obviously, when Shifty left to go play with Biffle, they had they took Mayappa from Jason Otter. So I'm sure Mayappa again is like, "Hey, I want to play with Otter," and I'm assuming that they're going back to rated. I could be wrong. Again, if Sage wants to correct me, but I'm assuming they're going back to rated. That's not confirmed. That's just like kind of what I've heard and also rumors. So if anyone wants to
That
correct me or
mixes
if
up
anyone's heard
Aiden's
anything
team,
different.
right?
Well,
Well,
we knew that
Aiden's team is done.
Aiden
from-
and Adrian, I think they even tweeted, they were like, we're not playing with Rated. Like, I think that was like a pretty public
Oh,
thing.
okay.
This is what happened. This is what it's. Yeah, I'll give you some clarification. It's they played that tournament with Crinks and they won it. Right, they were the first people to dethrone the fucking D Sage and Shifty.
Yeah.
And then we had an interview with them. I was like, hey, whatever happened with Rated, and then it was all over Twitter, and pretty much he was like, yo, Aiden said that Rated said that he wasn't playing with them, but then Rated on Twitter said that never happened. Like, and then Aiden's
So
like,
it's a he said, she said type thing.
yeah. So it seems like that squad is more than likely breaking up, and I'm pretty sure Aiden, Adrian, and Crinks are
That's cool for Crinks, bro.
Are gonna be a
Love.
squad.
I absolutely love that. I
Crinks.
actually watched his VOD a little bit, and he talks a lot more and is a lot more vocal than I expected, because I always worried like Adrian and Adrian are kind of like a crack duo, and like they just run around and like you send them in a building, they're gonna get a blood, but at the same time you do need somebody who's gonna like kind of like tell them like or like keep them under control. It's like two dogs on a leash, you know what I mean? And I watched Crinks and he's very communicative, which I know he's a very quiet kid. I've known him
He's
for
super quiet. 3-4
years now.
Unless he's competing.
And when I watched his VOD, I was like, yo, this guy is talking.
Yeah.
Aiden's like, should we go? And he's like, no, stay here.
Yeah.
And Aiden
Crinks is under the radar.
You know what? I will say this, that like, and I'm really happy that he was able to do that, because so many people or young people that are really good get really scared to like tell these veterans and these guys with crazy streams what to do, right? Because they're like, oh, who am I? Like, his chat's gonna roast me. But Crinks don't give a fuck. Like, I've said this before, and I've told you guys that Crinks is literally like, I am not gonna be shocked if Crinks is top 5 in the next year. I will not, if this team puts in the time that I think they can, and if they're passionate, I will not be surprised if that team gets top 3 in the World Series. Shit, even win it. Like, that team, I don't think people realize, I said this before, say I'm glazing, I don't give a fuck. Crinks is fucking insane at the game, bro. He is so fucking good, and it sucks he wasn't given the opportunity last year, but like, he stepped up when he needed to step up. He got to play with the big dogs for one tournament and won it. And
sometimes all it takes.
dethroned Diaz, Sage, and Shifty. I'm sorry, Shifty. Apologize.
Gojj, go ahead.
This is the key, man. This is the key when it comes to a new map. You're gonna see new players pop off. Like, if you're not a part of your community, Hector, like, you might not know who Crinks is. Like, he's been playing a long time. He's really dang good. But like, you look at earnings, he doesn't get invites. He's got 8K earnings total. Period. Like, across everything, at least that's documented for 1,000, 1,000 plus prize pool attorneys. Like that, him being added to a roster like Aiden and Adrian, who is somewhat unheard of because of his age as well. Like, this is what we're talking about with this new Warzone of 2.5 or whatever we're calling it. Is like, you're gonna see these types of people explode this year, and I fully agree. Crinks is one of those as well. That is massive.
Yeah, so I mean that there's so many good teams, man. I don't even know. So like, I guess we went over those 4, right? Who Ebatez, come talk to me. Who else we got? We got.
So as far as also another person that tweeted at me, actually, because I tweeted, I was like, I put out a tweet that I was like, yo, Warzone captains, you have 8 hours to respond. Like, if you don't put out your trios, like, I'm gonna try and lake them. But Unrational tweeted at me, said that he said Scummin and Dongi are with him. So
yeah, I heard about that too.
Which is interesting, because I did hear potential rumors about FIFA and Scummin playing 2v2s together. So I don't know if that's changed.
Different though. Like,
it is different, but I didn't know if that changed for customs, or if they're, FIFA and Scummin aren't considering that anymore, and maybe Scummin's staying with Unrational, or maybe Unrational's playing with Dongi and Scummin's playing with FIFA. So I don't really know where that is. But that's another trio that I guess I didn't really expect, but they are playing 2v2s, what Gary said. Okay, so FIFA is still with Scummin for 2v2s. And that's the trio right there, is Unrational, Dongi, and Scummin, which will be interesting.
So it is. Here's my I don't honestly, I heard about this roster as well. Has Mutex released his roster? I kind of feel bad leaking rosters if they haven't said anything. But has Mutex said who his team is?
Well, it sounded like we already knew the duo, which was him and Blast, unless he was trolling. And then
that's a decent 2v2 duo. That's a good 2v2.
Yeah,
No,
but
trio.
I don't think
I'm not talking about.
They were looking for the third. He tweeted it out. He said, "I'm locked in with Blast, looking for a third." But I don't know if there was an update beyond that.
I heard
I'm gonna be honest. I'm blocked by Mutek, so I can't look at the tweet. So.
Oh my god.
Bro,
So, hey,
that's insane. Yo, that's funny, bro, because
God.
there was actually a possibility of you and him both being on the podcast at the same time.
No, there's no beef. I'm just blocked from like Caldera. I don't even know, you know.
Oh shit! Okay, at least
Stream
now I know.
sniping, maybe. No,
At
just
least
like,
now I know.
Yeah, I was stream sniping him crazy one night. I can't lie.
Oh shit. Okay, all right. So I mean, I won't leak any other ones, but let's talk about DJ Evan and
Yes, another one that was
Can
announced
I-
actually.
Can I add a quick note?
Yeah.
I think it is worth noting, like the Donkey, Nofo, Vonbot trio that's obviously split up. Like Donkey being added to this mix is a huge value add. I mean, if you look back at I think it was stage 2 finals.
Kid was going
Dude,
sick. He was going sick.
Donkey had 37 kills. Nofo had 13. Vonbot had 10. I mean, Donkey was going
Crazy.
viral on the
Yeah,
map. The dude was going
yeah.
wild.
Yep.
Very good player, very underrated player. I think could make a big impact with that
Yeah.
team.
I did say this after World Series, or I think even during. Sorry to cut you off, but I did say that he was going to get picked up this year by a big duo. Like I
Yeah.
said that, and I was like, for sure, we'll get picked up this year by a big duo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
definitely, totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, Dongy is him. Everybody's always gonna. It's funny. Dongy comes in the stream and he's always like, "I'm ass. I sold on land." I like it. So it's funny to see.
You gotta get over
see
that stage fright.
Yeah, you think that's what it was, Shifty?
Nah, he's just a kid beating himself
A
up.
little onliner. No, I'm just kidding.
Shut up, Shifty.
No, Donnie's good, bro.
Shifty,
Donnie's
win a
really
land, bro, and then you can talk, bro. Win something. On the land, and
Oh
then, like,
shit!
like,
Yeah, I think donkeys are good to add to any roster. To be honest, I think I feel like I knew he was gonna get on a really good team. Also, like he's super funny. He's like likable, and he definitely carried his roster. So like I expected him, and he also grinds a lot. Like I think he was #1 Warzone ranked, and like I don't know if he still is right now.
Currently,
But like
is,
that
yeah.
dude loves the fucking toy. Like that guy loves it.
We're still
So-
playing Warzone 2 ranked. No shot.
Exactly. So
I
he's
know
a
when I
grind.
pull up a stream and I see Warzone ranked, I'm like, bro.
Nah, I feel like this year though. I feel like this year is about to be like the come up like of a lot of unknown,
lot of people, yeah.
underrated
A lot, yeah.
players. I don't think we'll see like the vets do as well. I think it's really gonna be like the new guys like the Crinks. I think Adrian's gonna have a huge year. He
Yep.
just turned 18, right? Like before
Yeah.
like the stages. You have like Adrian, maybe Rias you throw in there. Like if you
Dude, yeah.
the team.
I'm excited to talk about the free agents. That'll obviously be at
Yeah,
the end.
there's a
but-
Yeah.
lot of good young people that like if they can get maybe one vet or like an kind of a more experienced custom player like on their like an IGL, like you'll see. I think who's winning tournaments and placing the money is gonna look a lot different than it has the past 3 years.
Bro, I would throw this out there. I don't know Rios' team, but I 1000% think Tommy and Rios should be find one, looking for one. That
we'll get into that.
like
I
that-
think some potential. I have some.
Yuki's.
I think a Smith, Rios, and Tommy trio would go insane. But again, we can get into that later.
Wow, that actually be a goaded fucking.
Wait, let me break up a
oh.
roster quick. Submit, DJ, and Tommy would go
Dude,
crazy.
shut up, bro. They just got a downgrade, bro. Like, mute up. They got a downgrade.
Let me break up a roster, bro.
That trio got a downgrade, bro. Like,
Let's go to it. What's the DJ trio? Let's rock. Sorry.
DJ, Braxton, and Super Evan. I know they've played ranked for a while now. Like they've just been grinding. Like, you know, I think the vibes are there. Seems like they all have like an understanding of like how each other like they want to play and whatever. They also did pretty decent, I think, in like one of the tournaments we just ran. I know they won a couple games. I think they got like 4th place in the tourney. So a pretty good showing for their first tournament. I know this isn't like necessarily like I'm not to say that Braxton doesn't want to play Super Evan and DJ. I know he does, but it sucks that he has to leave Trick, who he just got 7th place at World Series with, because of, you know, the sentiment of like, hey, he's not going to get tournament invites, and it's kind of just the sad reality that he just has to go play with Super Evan. Again, not a total loss. It is a good trio, but again, probably brought what Braxton wanted to do. Like, you don't want to leave your duo, you know what I mean? So it does suck, but that is a good trio.
That's exactly what I said before. Like, regardless of whether you're playing for wins or playing for monies, you gotta get invites, and the only way to get invites is to be able to pay. If you're not somebody that has a massive platform or big content numbers or whatever, it's to play with people that do, you know, have big content numbers and also are very good at the game, right?
Yeah.
And this trio makes a lot of sense for those two guys.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't like this team at all. I'm gonna keep it a $150. I'm gonna be very honest. Let me talk about the way I see these two teams, right? Like Braxton, I see him as like a goated IGL. Evan, I see him as a goated IGL. And then fucking DJ Moss, I see him as that role player, right? So I'm thinking now, I'm seeing this and I'm like, damn, bro, like who is going to be there? Like, I will say though, Braxton at the beginning of the year was fucking like him top fragger, right? But then everybody always says, oh, it's because audio cheese, whatever the fuck, right? Like, in my opinion, that squad, Braxton needs to be the one to step up and be the slayer of that team. If not, like, I don't see that team succeeding too well from the slaying department. Again, Evan, whenever he's at his game, he is fucking insane, right? But I think Evan is a goated IGL. So the way that I see and the way I perceive this team is Braxton and Evan are insanely good at IGLing. I think this team will be end game every single time, but the slaying power needs to be there. That's kind of, so when it's like, okay, maybe Braxton in the last team that he was kind of forced to be that IGL. Right now, is Evan coming onto this team going to alleviate that pressure and go from there? Peep Swag's tweet, oh God, what happened?
I think Braxton will be the IGL on the squad. And I don't know. I mean, there's different pacings for every team. Like even like Shifty was kind of saying earlier, like Skull fits the pacing of Joe and Bread, and they still get kills and they still win tourneys. So I don't know. I don't see any issues there. I think it's just going to be a matter of who's IGLing, and I think Braxton will probably take that role.
Yeah.
And we know Evan can get kills. I mean, he top frag trios Verdansk. I think he had like 53 kills or something crazy. Hector, I mean, you played with him. He top fragged by like 20 or something in the first
World Series of Warzone, he literally had like double kills, and so I know Evan got it. It's just like, what Evan are we getting? Like what Evan are we getting this year? So leaks, boys. Booyah, Swag just tweeted this. Booyah and I will be looking for a third heading into the new Warzone for future tournaments. Who y'all think we should pick up?
Pens.
So here's my thing. Pens. Okay. This is another person to look out for. I think we're pretty much done for right now. We don't have any set rosters, right? At least so we can continue moving on, because we'll be here for fucking 4 hours, boys. Yeah. And I know Gojj, I know you have rack minutes. I want to respect that. I want to respect you as much as possible. I will say this: the best trio to ever exist was Lucky, myself, and Evan. Let me just throw that out there. All right, but continuing. Okay, Pens, bro. Pens. Do you guys know who Pens is, or are you guys not too like sure?
I just know you played with him, but he's barely 18, right?
Yeah, he's about to turn 18, I believe. Okay,
brother, I have watched every Warzone tournament that's ever existed, and I don't know who this guy is. So I need you to enlighten me right now, because I'm excited about this.
Okay, this is I you know me, I like to look at the talent and see who's up next, right? Pens is in a crossroads right now, bro. Okay, Pens can either go this way and be like absolute dog shit, I'll be honest, or Pens can be literally fucking him with the right people to guide him. Pens is really good slayer, bro. And I can say this because he's my boy. He's a fucking idiot. Like he's actually like really good. Like, bro, this guy was actually dropping like 30s, 40s. Obviously ranked is not like crazy, but like
this year?
Yeah. 30s, 40s in ranked. He's young. He plays with Swag all the time. This guy pub stomping. This guy's dropping 50s, 60s, 40s every single game. Like, he's good, but he lacks confidence. That's one. I talk to him all the time. He lacks confidence in himself. And I think he just doubts his abilities, right? But Pens is incredibly good. But a lot of people are saying Pens because he plays with Swag so much. But I'll be honest, I don't know if Pens fits this squad, right? So when it comes to Swag and Booyah, I think for this guy with whoever they pick up, even because they had D, right? What needs to happen here is Booyah or Swag need to turn into a goated IGL. I don't know which one it's gonna be. Booyah doesn't talk as much. Chris sometimes allows like Booyah to take control, right? But if this team wants to find like a big level of success, and again, we're competitors, right? So I'm talking winning, right? One of these two needs to fucking, and again, it's hard. I will say this: both of them are chilling. They're coasting, right? Like, they don't, like, you know, their YouTubes are popping. They're chilling, right? But like I'm saying, if they want to win, they need to put a lot of time into learning the game and IGLing, because what they would, right? And they had Diaz. They need a young slayer or a role player, but then one of these two needs to turn into a fucking insane IGL. Who that is, Swag or Booyah, I don't know. But I think for them to have a big level of success, and I can see Chris doing both. I can see Chris being the role player and being the dirty worker. But if this, like, Booyah needs to step up and be that IGL. In my opinion, I would have it like that. Let Swag be the fucking the dirty one, get in the mix. Let throw away his life for his teammates. Let Booyah be an insane IGL, and then have a young talent that's incredibly good at fragging that they can control. That's the way I see this team succeeding. So that's kind of where I don't know. Go ahead, boys. What do y'all think?
I mean, I think it's a great shot. I found him. Certified pub stomper is what his bio says. I mean, fair enough. But yeah, looking back, it makes sense. I haven't seen it because he's just been pub stomping with the crew. I fully agree. Here's the problem, and I think you said it and glossed over it. I just don't think they will. Like, I just don't think they're gonna put in the time to be a top trio, regardless of who they pick up. Like, I don't think anybody like a Tommy or like somebody that's floating right now is gonna make a risk on that because of how big their content is right now. Like, they're not going to play in the 5Ks. They're not going to necessarily play in the 10Ks, at least not as often as a lot of the other teams, when in reality, the only real practice we get, right, is in those 5, 10, 20, 30K tourneys that they don't necessarily play because that's the only way to like actually practice your skills in customs.
I was going to hop in here too and basically say the same thing as Gojj. Like, so I think you're looking at it like, Hector, as like, they used to play Biffle, so like, how are they going to replace Biffle? And it's so hard. First of all, you're not going to replace Biffle. He's Biffle. And second of all, like, those tournaments were so different back in the day. They weren't as competitive, in my opinion, where they were just getting invites and like, maybe like they were just frying and like they could make
the top 20% was really a problem, and that's it.
Yeah, and I do think that they would benefit more off picking up somebody who is like in IGL and just tell them what to do, because Swag and Booyah, I think, work better as a duo, and they could just find somebody that IGLs for them. Again, my take, and maybe somebody who plays like Twitter tourneys or whatever, gets more reps in so that they can like bring that knowledge to Swag and Booyah. But again, that might just be my take.
Bro, Lucky said it. He said, bro, one video is more than the first place prize. Like, it's on
true.
paper doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Look, here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying is, like, even with D, guys, like, they struggle to win consistently. Like, what I'm saying is, it's what they need is for one of them to step up and be an insane IGL. And I think Booyah has the brain for it. The thing is, Booyah just doesn't talk that much. Like, he's not as vocal of a player, right? So, like, I see where you're coming from, and I think you're right. It could be a good IGL, but like,
it's also hard to find. Like, yeah, like Coach says, like, Tommy's not going to go play with them right now. Like, it's a huge risk. So,
well, I think the other part goes back to what Gojj said earlier about the income part of it, where like there's somebody they're going to jump on their team that know that Swag's invited to every tournament.
Yeah.
So it's a guaranteed chance, versus if they try and go on their own, they may have zero chance, because like they're not going to end up on a roster where they have the profile of Swag. It's just not going to happen.
What player is that? I mean, maybe a Pins, right?
Yeah.
That makes the most sense. But
Prius.
Or a Trick. Honestly, I don't think that's a bad
Empathy.
idea.
Empathy could be.
I could see Trick with that team for sure.
Yeah.
I
Empathy.
think what a lot of people have to do is they have to look at that roster as like, I'm gonna go here, go out, try to place top 3, and then maybe jump. Like, that's like the only thing I could see.
Yep.
I think like it'd be kind of cool if they brought someone up, especially if they're not gonna take it super serious. And it's like, you know what, we were gonna play every tournament. Hopefully you show out, and then hopefully you get a chance at playing with a top roster. If they already know that they're not gonna like grind 10 hour a day or play off stream and do the nerdy stuff to like get ahead of people, it'd be kind of cool if they just brought someone in that is super hungry and just needs like that chance in every tournament, and then that they'll showcase themselves, and maybe they do make some money, in top 5 or top 8, because there are some tournaments where, like, especially in the
lot of placements
everyone's
win,
at 0. Everyone's at 0.
I mean,
so
boys,
you could weasel some placements.
Boys, this might be a crazy ass fucking throw in, right? But I've been getting messaged by a lot of people coming from the challengers, because we know what's happening with that, and rumors are that it's ending next year. And let's be honest, there's a lot of money to be made in Warzone. There really is. Not just tournaments alone. I'm talking
Perspective Noobs essentially came out of
challengers.
There's a ton of them. There's
a lot of
them,
people.
but for example,
there's a lot of people. So Havoc Havoc is one of them that's saying he wants to get in. His stream is doing so well. His content's doing so amazing, and he wants to transition to Warzone this year. And I think that's a great opportunity. Like, bro, that man was a pro, dog. This guy was shooting Cell and the Beezy in their primes. You know, you think he ain't gonna be shooting, these fools, right? Like, so
it's just
like,
tough. It
is hard.
It just doesn't translate, and it's gonna take time.
It will.
He's gonna have to find two teammates that just have to be so patient and like, hey, like.
Time in.
It's just time in. So again, how committed they are.
I don't know. He's grinding that leaderboard, putting in like 14 hours or something crazy for multiplayer, and they run into cheaters every other match. Dude's got the mental to grind.
I mean, does Havoc actually want to switch? I thought his like niche was like the ranked, like multiplayer ranked.
Well, he tweeted out that he said he wanted to, if Warzone is good, he wants to try competing.
He's a content creator, and he'll probably do whatever it takes to have the best content. And Warzone has way better content.
Havoc was one of the better CDL pros that played in the COD Kings, like 2v2, like the kill race with Aiden. I didn't think he was horrible.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if he gets into it at the start of competing, like at the start of the map, and he learns just like everybody else, Havoc won't have that much time, like won't have that much trouble like learning the map and learning Warzone. If he teams with, let's say, somebody like Tommy, if he teams with somebody that's just like, yo, me and you have the same past experiences. I was in the league, I transitioned. This is what helped me transition. Let me help you. Let's pick up somebody else. Like, I can see that happening,
Do you
bro.
think that hurts Tommy's stock though?
I don't think so, bro. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I would take the bet if I was Tommy. I would take the bet on somebody like Havoc or somebody that has that gunny that bro. They shoot straight. Just teach them the fucking how to play their life. Teach it. That's my opinion, though. Like, that's my opinion.
Tommy's in a win now mentality. I think Tommy hits up Smith and hits up Rios. That trio would be insane.
Well, I think the one we haven't talked about is Destroy and Z-Laner.
Yes.
Z-Laner, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean,
I did see Destroy tweet at Joe and Brett saying like, "Yo, pick me up." So I don't know exactly what's going on there. I don't know if that's like a locked duo or whatever. I did see Destroy tweet at Joe and Brett.
Yeah, Destroy would be a good pickup for a lot
when they
of
tweeted
teams.
that they needed one. Destroy was like, "Yo, let me know." And again, that's like probably not like, "Yo, like I'm leaving Z-Laner." If you have the opportunity to go play Joe and Brett, you go play Joe and Brett. But I'm sure. So I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know if it's like, hey, we'll figure out where we fit in. I'm sure they're not even thinking about it. I'm sure Z-Laner's actually just went on vacation. He's probably chilling, enjoying a beer, vibing out.
Yes. I will defend my boy Z here slightly, albeit he does kind of fall within that almost same category as Swag. I mean, it's levels, but still, like, content-wise, stream-wise, he's fine. He doesn't need to compete. He wants it, bro.
Yeah.
When he loves the game, he wants it. So if he loves the game, he might put in for Dansk hours and get nasty again. And I have always stated, and there's some bias here. I love my boy Z, but not enough to really cloud my judgment that far. I think he's one of the best Warzone players, or can be one of the best Warzone players mechanically, if he likes the game. Yeah. He just needs the right team for it. And I think he and Destroy are great. I'm not sure about the whole DBZ. Like, they had their era. Seemingly chemistry is chalked. So whatever. Yeah. We move on from there. If you take Z-Laner and Destroy and put Tommy in that mix, like, could that trio play it out and play at the top?
I like the Destroy Z and Raul pickup. I think Raul's like a very young kid who has a lot of talent and, like, honestly a lot of potential there. So I do think that could work out.
Yes, definitely. That's fair.
Which I really, really like. But again, like I said, we'll see how that plays out. Definitely a trio to keep an eye on.
And it's definitely like, do they like the game or not? Like, are they passionate enough to put in time? Because customs in particular is just time in.
There's a lot of people that are naturally talented at video games. They don't need to put fucking time in, and they're just fucking good. There's a lot of people, but then there's a lot of other people who aren't naturally talented at things, and the more they play, the better they get. That's like for the 99% of us. So I can see next year a lot of heads just getting fucking good. So just coming out, not out of nowhere, but like, for example, Evan coming and just being like, yo, like, we're gonna get Verdansk Evan again, right? There's a lot of people that the more they play, the better they get.
Yeah, you don't know until we see. Yeah. There's a lot of variables. I mean, there's some people that may not even like the game. I think they might be in the minority, but there's gonna be probably people who preferred MW like, Warzone 2. It's gonna be few and far between. And then there's also this other wild card we haven't talked about, what if like the format in general for like World Series of Warzone would be duos? They're still gonna run trio tournaments, right? They got to split.
No way they do duos, bro. There is no
They
way.
did duos with the
They
World
should
Series
do
of
another
Warzone
duos.
before.
I do like duos
There's
events, but
no
they won't
way.
do
They
World
do
Series
not
duos.
give a fuck about your team chemistry formats. They do not care.
Bro,
They will
bro,
do
they
whatever they
wouldn't.
want to do.
They wouldn't do.
You don't think they'll
Oh
throw
my
another
god.
duos World Series? Like, about keep like the trios, but like just throw duos in there?
No, I think from now on it'll always stay. Okay, look, I think it'll always stay at one, either duos or trios. I don't think they do 2 and 1. There's no way. If they do another set of World Series Warzone, it's gonna be Resurgence. There's no way they do 1 trios, 1 duos. There's no way, or solos, or nothing. If they're gonna change it up, it's gonna be Resurgence. Trios, they should never go duos ever.
Also, remember, World Series of Warzone to some degree was framed off of ranked. So it also depends on what we have in ranked. If ranked is consistent of only trios and ranked and not a solos playlist or a duos playlist
True.
that you grind those leaderboards, it's going to have to stay trios.
True.
If we do see ranked come out and they have a solo duo playlist and a trio playlist or whatever, like, who knows? I don't.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I mean, listen, man, we did a 3-hour podcast, boys. A 3-hour podcast. Did we go over everything?
We could
think
go in
so.
deeper, but I mean,
we
there's
could
so
have
much more to
dissected.
talk about. But I think the trios that needed to be talked about were definitely talked about.
Oh, when's the first tourney? Because everything is gonna be 2v2, right? Do we know
We don't know.
one?
For the most part, I'm assuming customs won't come out until season 2, which is what I'm assuming. Again, I don't think it's gonna be in the game right away, so I'm assuming again we're gonna have 2v2s until 2 months. You know.
Yeah,
Yep.
2v2, which I'm actually not opposed to that.
A bunch of Twitter tournaments that are
And again, reminder, guys, just because they're good at 2v2s doesn't mean they're gonna be good at customs. So let's also put that out there. You know.
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah. But
You suck, Shifty.
I don't
At least
think
right
any
now-
big tourneys are announced at all.
yeah, nothing's been announced. And
That's so weird.
I don't think it is. I
Twitter
assume
area.
it's gonna be. I assume there's gonna be something next week. Like they have to, because they always do something. But I remember the last time they did, and I think like we've learned this going forward for the last like months.
Yep.
They never really do anything on the day of release because to iron out all the kinks, like in case there's any groundbreaking bugs, and they wait. But then there's like CDL's Friday, so like I can see them next week being something, bro. Wait, what happened?
Hey, Clipper Rob just typed in chat, said first tourneys start right after launch. So I don't know, man.
Really?
Never on launch day. Interesting. Yo, little leakage.
He said right
yeah,
after launch. He didn't say launch day. I don't know.
he said never on launch day. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Cool.
We do need to talk about
Oh.
top free agents. So in my opinion, I think Rias, Smith, Tommy, and then if you guys want to name off a few too, I don't know, Shifty, I might need help with this, but there's a lot of
some of the EUs. You got who did Lennon drop?
Prodigy. So Prodigy EU, Wars.
Bro, we
I
didn't
know
even talk EU. Holy.
King. Yeah,
AJ.
we do need to show some more love to the EU guys, but King AJ and
Vision.
Vision SR are apparently a duo looking for a third.
What about the
Probably Huskers, yeah.
Huskers, yep.
Blades. Did Blade in them?
Damn, y'all got the whole list, brother.
I'm assuming. I'm assuming B Blade and Vortex are gonna stay together. I don't know if they're still with Savvy Ultras. We'll see.
I mean, I don't know what Smixy's doing. I don't know what Flank's
Flank
crew's
is trash.
doing.
Flank, Brolic.
Like-
yeah, Brolic's another one. Clutch Belt.
There's
We
a
don't
lot.
know.
It's gonna be interesting.
Jace.
I know. Jace is with.
Dude, there is so many free agents. Holy
They
shit.
played with Braylick and
Jace. Oh, sorry. Brolic, Jason, Exact. I don't think are a trio, but I'm pretty sure Jace is with Exact. I don't know what's going on with Brolic.
Oh, bro,
I heard that there was a little bit of a miscommunication there. That's all I'll say. So I don't know if Brolic, Jason, Exact are together, but again,
That's not quite an OG trio, but I mean that's an older trio that's come back together. Then
FIFA is playing duos with Scummin, but Scummin's with Unrational and Donnie for trio. So
OP.
again,
Maybe
FIFA
Wiz.
again another potential. I don't know. Maybe FIFA's playing with Huskers. We'll see.
bro, I got spreadsheets on the EU. We don't gotta get into it. Whatever y'all want to, let me know.
Chukies
but-
and Lennon looking for one. I don't. You know,
I
there's
would
so
like
many
to-
players.
I would like to, start highlighting because I feel like a lot of us know a lot of the NAs, obviously, right? Because
Yeah.
like we play against them all the time, right? But I would like to start highlighting a little bit more EU players, maybe
For
get some
sure.
EU players on the podcast because like I know who the top dogs not all the top dogs are on NA, right? I can only give you, let's say, the top 20 in EU, the top 10 in EU, right? I would like to get a broader perspective, and not just EU. I'm talking about all the regions, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be really cool. I would hope to do more of these and just bring somebody on from each region, and we kind of talk about that, man.
Angzian's a good shout too.
Who?
Angzian.
Yeah, they got ninth or something at LAN.
Yeah,
Hatsuka, Stuwo, and Exian. They got like ninth, but I don't know if they might be staying together. Who knows?
You guys know if like some people, like, I know, what's his name? Gorgo said he's.
Yeah, Knight wants to compete this year.
Yep.
Again, I think Knight is a very good player, but it's going to be, I think he wants to land on a big team, and I think that's like an unrealistic goal. I think he just hasn't played tournaments, and I don't think any big team again. Same thing with like
branding thing.
Yeah, you're not, nobody's gonna take a risk on him. Like, I know he fries. He's a very good player. There's nobody's question his talent, but it's a matter of like awareness and just, you know, you didn't get the reps last year, so like. But again, so many tournaments we're gonna have. Hopefully, somebody gives us a chance because I think Knight's a very, very talented player.
Well, I think if there's Reaper tournaments, I see Aiden Smith and Gorgo coming back.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a crazy trio.
They were really good at Rebirth.
Clamp.
Clamps in there.
You got Deus Amir. Like, you got some of our Mexico players. I mean, those guys popped.
Those guys
off.
placed what, fourth?
Yeah, they got fourth. I mean, they might stay.
Nasty.
I don't know. Like,
Good
we're
for
gonna
them,
talk
man.
about it, but
Freaking showed up.
Well, I know that we're Pullze Check and the people working behind the scenes are watching, making sure that we see everybody who's tweeting and stuff like that. I would say I was MIA today. I promise you. I didn't know if half the rosters got announced today.
I literally texted you. I was like,
Ebatez, I was literally like till like I went live. You can ask Artist War. Me, him, and a couple of people were in the call finalizing my revamp, bro. I did not breathe today, brother. But look, man, there's a lot of people that have yet to be announced, so we definitely are gonna have time for another podcast on this. But no, Rob, I didn't sleep through the call. I thought I wasn't invited. Okay, I thought I wasn't invited. It's a very big difference. So I just didn't. I checked my email, but I guess I didn't check it out. Whatever. Besides the point. But man, I mean, guys, we went over everybody. We went over all the things coming. We got 2 days, man. We got 2 days coming, bro. I'm hella excited. Any final thoughts before we head out?
It's gonna be
I
exciting.
don't have
man.
any. I'm ready. I'm
Look,
ready.
man.
It's nice to finally look forward to it. It's been a while. Yeah.
I'm locked in, man. I'm locked in. Well, boys, side note, we're talking about World Series. I'm about to reveal after the podcast the World Series of Warzone trailer for the documentary that we put together with the boys. And then
cooked.
Shostin, I'm not gonna lie, I low-key teared up a little bit watching the trailer. And then tomorrow I'll be doing a live watch party with the boys on the couch, and we'll be watching the whole documentary.
Yes.
I hear it's like
How long is it?
It's from, and he said 40 to an hour.
Oh,
Which is
shit.
insane. I don't know how much.
Some of that.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
yeah. So 40 minutes to an hour. He said he's still finalizing some things. So Shostin definitely cooked, man. But I mean, boys, thank you guys so much. I know it was long, literally a 3-hour podcast today, man. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Thank you, boys. For those of y'all on YouTube, Spotify, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again next week. Shit. I know bullshit's gonna have to be next week. I would like to do it this week, but I'm gonna be honest. I know it's going to be very hard finding people to get on
People are
because
gonna be grinding.
people are going to be grinding and shit. So more than likely we'll have to be next week. We'll be going over all our first impressions of Warzone, what's good, the bad, everything in between, and we'll go from there, man. So guys, thank you so much. We'll catch you guys on the next one, baby. Peace.